Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Swordsman Deku had a mini harem in One Piece? Part 2. MHA x One Piece. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are interested in MHA fanfictions. This story is Son of the Greatest Swordsman by Stillwell03. Now without wasting any more time, let's dive in. Izuku Pav. So you picked a fight with the worst generation? Mr. Aizawa confirmed this as I explained the situation at the restaurant to him. Yeah. Kinda my bad for picking a fight with him. Then you better be ready to fight. Mr. Aizawa handed me a set of papers on Kid and the rest of the Kid pirates. Facing Kid for you will be no different than if fire was facing water. You'll be at a great disadvantage with him. He walked away for me to begin doing my research. So what's the plan for this Kid guy? Hato asked for me to find out exactly why I'm at a disadvantage. Well, this is a fun turn of events. The guy has a devil fruit that allows him to magnetize himself to attract or repel metal. No wonder Mr. Aizawa said you're at a disadvantage. I kept reading after Itsuka made this comment to find out Kid only knows Conqueror's Haki. So as long as I can find a way to take him down with Haki, I can win. Excuse me. But Kendo said you had wished to hold a few words with me? I glanced over to see Shiizaki try to get my attention. Urabara Shiizaki, right? I actually wanted to give you an offer. I cleared my throat before asking her my question. I'm sure you're already aware of the situation of me making a pirate crew with Itsuka and everyone, so I wanted to discuss with you about joining me as a member of the Green Demons. I refuse. Kinda figured that one might come. I will not be a pirate, for all they do is harm people. Unless your goal is to bring salvation towards those that harm others, I shall not be part of your group. Shiizaki, is there any way for us to get you to join? Itsuka questioned for Shiizaki to think about it. What will you do as a pirate crew? From what I have learned of the Straw Hat Pirates, there are more than just evil pirates. However, that does not mean every pirate should be trusted. For the most part, they are still villainous and shouldn't be treated as highly as people think. So I ask you as a way to gain my answer and approval, what type of pirate are you? I thought about it while seeing everyone else stare at me. I want to be someone that just follows his dreams and goals with hoping for his comrades to do the same. My goals may not align with the world government's, but they are mine nonetheless. That being said, I refuse to let myself or any of my crew harm the innocent. Though we're pirates, we are still heroes in training, and that has not changed. This seemed to interest Shiizaki before Ochako had an idea. Hey, what if you come join us? Izuku ended up getting into a fight with Captain Kid from the Kid Pirates. Sometimes seeing what Izuku's capable of can help sway people. Yip yip. Fluffy started going down on the ground to begin using the small metal pipes I had for him to imitate me before bowing as if he was fighting someone. I'm guessing this rabbit likes your way of handling enemies? He's a Lapon, but yeah. I started to head towards the dorms to try and get a little rest to prepare for the fight I had. Just keep focused, Izuku. That's the only way you'll win against Kid. One time skip to 10 at night, third person Pav. Izuku and the rest of his crew, accompanied by Kaminari, Jiru, Todoroki and Shiizaki, began heading towards the center of the town they planned to meet Kid at. When they arrived, they were met by Kid, Killer and a handful of people they believed to be his crew. So you decided to show up. Admirable, even if it's stupid. If I ran away, I'd never live it down. The red-haired pirate smiled before looking around at his crew and Izuku's. You know, I've been thinking. How about we do a 3-on-3? I'd like to see what the Green Demon's crew is like before I wipe the floor with you. 1, fair enough. Izuku turned to his crew before talking it over. Okay. We've got Kid, Killer and one other person that's going to fight us. My guess is it's most likely going to be the guy that looks like a scarecrow. From the data I got on him, Heat as he's called can breathe fire and wield 2 swords. Sounds like I'm up to show my stuff. Mirio smiled before Momo walked in front. I'm fighting today. I don't care who else is going to, but I'm doing this. Izuku saw her determination to agree to this. Fair enough. So who's taking on Killer? I can handle Not So Slenderman. Bakugo smirked, saying this for Izuku to agree. Once done, Izuku, Momo and Bakugo walked up for Kid to smile. So it's the human factory, Time Bomb and yourself. Fair enough. Heat, you're first up. Yes sir. Momo walked in front for the pirate to stare her down. I will warn you right now, child. I am not afraid to harm you in the name of Master Kid. If you have any fear of bodily harm, this is your one and only chance to run. I will not hold back. Good. That means I can test how far I've come. Here, kid. Kid threw Izuku a gun for him to see it was a starting gun. Use that to start the match. Izuku aimed the starting gun up into the air before firing to start the battle. Right off the bat, heat came at Momo with his swords drawn for her to be on the defensive immediately. Focus, Momo. You've been through worse. She calmed herself while trying to find rhythm to the pirate's movements. You're quite fast to dodge, girl. Thank you. The creation quirk user bent down from a slash with heat opening his mouth. But you're too obvious. He breathed fire to force Momo away. In the middle of the chaos, heat came towards her with his blades ready to strike. Now know why you were never going to win. Yao, Momo. Jiru shouted in fear with Momo smiling. Don't underestimate me. She pulled a gun out of a holster on her side to fire at heat. He dodged to the side to almost be shot again by a second gun in her opposite hand. When facing a target, don't take your eye off them. Momo kept Snipe's training in gunplay in mind while facing her opponent to now be on the offensive. 1. When did Momo learn how to use guns? Izuku asked Ochako as they watched carefully. When you went to the meeting of the warlords, she started training with Snipe. Thanks to his pointers, Momo's learned how to use twin pistols as if they were nothing. The group watched as Momo unloaded an empty cartridge and reload a new one she created full of bullets into the air while remaining focused on heat. In an effort to take her down, Heat attempted to get as close as possible to only get 2 shots right in the center of his skull. From what I was told, she's a born natural with guns to the point even Snipe couldn't understand how easily she was able to pick up the talent. In the best way to speak, Momo became a goddess with those pistols in her hands. 1. Heat. Kid ran towards his crew member to see him have 2 large bumps on his head. I used rubber bullets. They won't kill someone, but it lets me subdue someone without the need to worry about killing them. Momo started making an ice pack before handing it to the pirate captain. This'll help with the swelling. TCH. I guess this is your win. The kid took the ice pack and had help from Killer bringing Heat to the sidelines. When he was out of the way safely, Killer walked up in front cracking his knuckles. Time for round 2. Momo went to the side with Bakugo going next. So you're part of the worst generation too, huh? This'll be fun. Izuku held the starting gun up again before firing once more for Bakugo to make the first move. Shave. He vanished and made himself present right behind Killer with an explosion about to start with his right hand. Die. Killer avoided this attack to kick the ash blonde in the gut. Most of the damage was stopped by Iron Body, but a lot of it was still felt to knock the wind out of him. Guess you were able to avoid a lot of serious damage. Let's see how much more you can take. Bakugo blasted away from the pirate with Killer not giving him the opportunity to. He's different from the octopus guy. The ash blonde put his hands together and created a massive flash. Stun grenade. This acted as a temporary blinding for him to pull his leg back. Tempest kick. Killer avoided the attack and began charging at Bakugo. He used an explosion to get away from his slash to have a cut go across his chest deep enough to draw blood. However, Killer was met with a burn on his shoulder from getting too close to the blast to feel like it might have a sprain. I gotta admit, kid, your reflexes aren't half bad. Also, the way you're mixing the 6 powers with your quirk works kinda well here. Thanks. You're not half bad yourself. Bakugo pulled a bit of the blood coming from the cut off with his thumb to lick it. That cut fucking stings like a bitch. Then let's get to the point and give a deciding victor. I like the way you think, Killer. Bakugo charged at Killer with a devilish smile on his face with the pirate charging at him as well. The two began fighting with fists being thrown and parried as well as explosions and slashes by the two of them. They eventually had enough with Bakugo using Moonwalk to get as high up into the sky as possible before charging down at Killer with his body spinning and gaining more speed with his explosions. To add some strength to his assault, he activated Iron Body to act as if he was a falling meteor. Howitzer, Iron Impact. A massive explosion happened for everyone to be pushed back a little. This is crazy. Just what did Bakugo do? Kaminari could barely see with Perona holding onto Itsuka to avoid being blown back. When the shockwaves ended, the two fighters were wrapped in a massive dust cloud. Is he okay? Jiru looked a little scared with everyone on edge. Look! Ochako shouted, seeing both Killer and Bakugo's silhouettes in the smoke. Out of nowhere, Bakugo collapsed with the dust settling to show a massive gash from his left shoulder down to his right hip. Killer's right blade was dripping blood for it to be understandable what exactly happened. Kachin. Izuku ran towards his friend to see him unconscious. Hang in there, Perona. Get some gauze and help me stop the bleeding. The ghost girl ran with a first aid kit in hand and opened it the second she was next to Izuku and Bakugo. I knocked him out before he hit the ground. I couldn't stop my instincts though. I did at least miss going deep enough where it'll cause problems. Killer began limping away, showing a massive burn from Bakugo's attack that landed its mark. The kid wasn't going down without a fight. If he keeps going the way he's going, he might beat me when he gets a little more experience. Though nobody could see, Killer was smirking under his mask at the results of the fight. Nice job. Get some burn cream on those injuries and get your shoulder checked out. Kid patted his first mate's good shoulder before turning to Izuku and his friends. That's 1-to-1. A real fight won't call time out for something like this. So are you gonna call it quits now, or are you gonna pull the deadweight off the field? You son of a... Izuku held his hand out to stop Itsuka. He's right, no matter how we hate to admit it. In a fight that matters, what we're doing right now would be a waste of time and a moment for him to come in and take us out. However, Izuku pulled both Kadaina and Shujitsune out to finish. That does not mean I take to the fact you hurt one of my friends lightly. Prepare yourself. Kid smiled at Izuku before punching his right palm with his metallic arm. Just the way I like to face opponents. Strong-willed and ready to fight. Let's get this going. Itsuka, Momo, Perona and Ochako pulled Bakugo away from the area with Tagata holding the starting gun. He aimed it up above before firing it off to signal the match to begin. Izuku charged directly at Kid with him holding his position like nothing was happening. The green-haired boy jumped up before slashing his blades down towards the pirate captain. Now. Repel. He held his one hand out for Izuku to stop in midair and be pushed back. He adjusted his momentum to land with no problems to understand what happened. So that's the magnet fruit, I presume? Quite smart kid. Yes. I ate what's called the magnet fruit and became a magnet man. Thanks to that, I can bring forward and repel any metallic item I want. For example, if I were to take the metal in the area and use it. Several pieces of metal began pulling towards Kid with Izuku's swords almost following suit if he didn't hold onto them tighter. As the metal from the area came closer and closer, Kid began to reshape it into gigantic fists. I can make myself twin limbs that are large enough to take anyone on. Izuku began to feel the pressure as the arms attacked him to force the young swordsman to deflect or dodge the attacks. No matter how much you block or dodge, these hands of mine will break you. You were a fool to face me. Both hands grabbed onto Izuku and from the looks of it, crush him inside their palms. Now die. Before Kid could give lethal pressure, Izuku cut through the metal hands and charged him to slice the metal on his prosthetic arm off. Don't think I'll go down that easily. I've got too much on the line to lose to the likes of you. Third person POV. Izuku came charging at Kid with his blades for the pirate captain to feel a bit irritated. That truck didn't work before, what makes you think it'll work now? In an instant, Izuku disappeared from Kid's line of view to shock everyone watching. Captain, above you. Killer shouted for Izuku to show himself several feet into the air with green lightning around him. Guess I should see if I can manage this. His hand adjusted the direction Shujitsune in his right hand was to have the bottom of the handle face towards his thumb. One for all. Blades fang. Izuku sent a clash of compressed air at Kid with him pinching it with his left hand. The attack began cutting through the metal before stopping right at where the stub of his hand would be. I'm not done yet. Izuku quickly came under with his Kadaina positioned with his arm crossed over his chest and Shijujitsune pointed down. Cross slice. Kid immediately used his larger arm to block Izuku before getting a distance and using his magnet abilities to keep Izuku away with floating debris. The boy's good. Not only does he have ways to go mid to long range to not be limited to a close range fighter, he can also move fast enough that I can't react quick enough to repel his blades. The boy's truly a genius when it comes to fighting. Kid began reforming his giant fists before compressing them tighter for the metal to bend, snap and break from the pressure. I hope you're ready, demon, because I'm not gonna hold back anymore. The fists shrunk down to about twice the size of Kid's original combat size while being coated in armament hockey. Didn't expect you to know hockey. Guess the data I had on you wasn't so accurate. Oh, there's more than just this. Kid charged Izuku with his fists, nearly hitting Izuku in the face if it wasn't for his blades. The shockwave from the impact sent the onlookers back, with the members of UA feeling extreme unease from the fight happening. Out of one crazy fight and into another. Just how strong are these guys? Kaminari started to get blown back before being grabbed by Tagata. Is Izuku gonna be okay? Sue asked, avoiding being blown back by holding onto Ochako, with Fluffy grabbing onto the frog girl's hair to keep from flying away as the brunette answered. My best guess, things are going to get more crazy. Izuku pulled away from Kid to grab Muramasa and place it in his mouth. You're a tough one, boy. Good to know I'm not bored out of my mind. Likewise. Kid came at Izuku again for the two captains to punch and slash, attack for attack. Sparks of steel came, with Izuku coating his blades in hockey as well to act as a countermeasure against Kid's. Both going blow for blow, shockwave for shockwave. Their crew was slowly pushed back each collision, with neither able to exploit any weakness. As the two pulled away from one another, Kid smirked, seeing the power Izuku has before standing up and holding his arms down. It's quite rare to find someone that is so green to the outside world and is able to stand against me. Tell me, have you ever heard of the One Piece? Roger's treasure. Who hasn't heard of it? Izuku stood up calmly from his stance and smiled. The treasure that every man who journeys out on the sea could ever dream of achieving, gained by one man. His own voice echoes through the world as a light for all who set sail towards. Even if you are the most novice of pirates, Roger's name will certainly ring a bell to you. Niece. So I guess it would be somewhat obvious for you to know why I came on the sea. I wanted to find the treasure. The treasure of the man who could bring one to become the greatest pirate that could ever live. The Pirate King. So you wanna be the one to inherit Roger's legacy? Kid was confident Izuku wouldn't laugh, but was ready for him to say how much of a joke it was. When he would, however, the pirate would show no more mercy and kill Izuku on the spot. I can respect that. Many would probably call your dream foolish and insane, but I don't. I don't, because I know just how it is to be looked at as a fool for trying to do something many find impossible. Captain Eustace, Kid, I admire and hope for you to one day reach your dream. Hearing this answer, Kid gave a wide smile with a bit of a chuckle. Hey. To think I'd get such a rousing applause for a dream from a boy who I'm trying to kill. You have my complete respect, Izuku Midoriya, so why don't we settle this with one final attack? I've actually been working on one that goes with my quirk and armament hockey, if you wouldn't mind me testing it out on an actual opponent. This could be interesting. Kid began to compress the metal on his body into a very small object no larger than a common ball. Meanwhile, Izuku held his blades in his iconic form with his best attack. Magnetic. Strike of Earth's Ascension. Bomb, Dragon's Fang. Both shot their attack at the other, with them going side by side past each other. Neither one dodged for the impact to hit them straight on to send them both back. The two went through several buildings before finally stopping by boulders on each side. Everyone looked to determine the final outcome, with Killer heading towards Kid to see two massive gashes on his chest that almost looked like dragon teeth bit into his skin. Izuku, on the other hand, looked like a cannonball hit him square in the chest, with him unable to move. Our captain's out over here. What's it look like with yours? Killer shouted a distance. Same. Does this mean it's a draw? Itsuka shouted, curious. Afraid so. Both groups pick their captain up and bring them towards UA with their match over, and immediately try to get Izuku and Kid healed up. An hour later, Izuku Pav. After the match was done, both the Kid Pirates and my group went towards UA to get healed by Recovery Girl. You all are lucky I was asked to keep myself awake by Aizawa to heal you youngsters after your little fight. She seemed a bit agitated for all of us to kinda assume we made her mad. Now if there isn't anything else, I'm going to bed. Thank you. When she left, we all found ourselves alone in the dorms. Is she always that cranky? Not necessarily. I think we just got her when she doesn't have enough sleep in her. Normally Recovery Girl is a lot more kinder. Kid chuckled a bit, with all of us beginning to talk among ourselves. So were you serious about the thing you said about my dream? Kid asked for me to smile. Why should I think otherwise? Most people think my dream to be the world's greatest swordsman is weird. The difference between those that respect dreams and those that don't are those that wanna believe the big goals people have for themselves are achievable. To me, there's nothing proving that it's not possible to be the pirate king or the greatest swordsman. So until someone can give undeniable proof otherwise, it's not impossible. Hee, I like you, kid. Midoriya, was it? I nodded. Well, I'll keep you in mind and hope you achieve that goal. It would be interesting to see you reach that. Kid gave me his right hand to shake with me doing the same. If you're in need of some assistance, I'm willing to pitch a hand if needed. I'll keep that in mind. Well, since this is all finished, I've got something I want to show you all. Hatsume brought our attention to her with a huge smile on her face. Follow me and you'll all be happy to see what I have. We all began following Hatsume outside with us going a distance towards the woods. So what's out here that you want to show us? Ochako looked around with our shipwright stopping at a small opening to an underground entrance to a facility. She turned to us and spoke. For a while now, I've been working hard trying to get something every pirate crew needs. Hatsume opened the doors for us to walk in with lights being turned on to show us what she was talking about. 4. May I present to you, the official ship of the Green Demon Pirates. She pressed a button for the sails to fall and show our pirate flag on the center masses. The type of ship is a brigantine just like the Thousand Sunny. The interior holds a more modern metallic framework for ships in our world with the aspect of us being referenced to demons being set as an example on the outside. We were silent before Bakugo spoke up. The thing looks like it's falling apart. On the outside it does, but it's the strongest thing you'll ever find even among today's ships. Frankie walked off the deck with a few tools. Sorry I got the chance to board your ship before you, Midoriya, but I had to make sure it was up to super standards. A captain needs to have a ship equivalent to his magnitude. I appreciate the fact you went to that length, Frankie. Thanks. I turned to Hatsume and smirked. So I'm guessing this is what you needed that special wood for. Exactly. The keel of the ship, which is the baseline, is made out of what's called Adam's wood. This wood doesn't catch fire easily and is very resistant to cannon fire and shows little wear over time. If you want the best ship built, you need both a great shipwright and this wood. What makes Adam tree wood unique about this? Momo looked around the outside of the ship curious. The tree itself is from an area that has been plagued with war. Even with everyone around it dying and the area being set ablaze, this tree forever remained solid and strong. Thanks to this, the price of just the wood needed for the keel of the ship was roughly about 20 million yen for what I wanted to do with it. You spent 20 million yen on wood. We all shouted in shock before Abara looked at the figurehead. 1. Hatsume, what did you use as a reference for the figurehead of this demonic ship? I was told you might join the ship, so I used your face as a reference. We looked over to see a carved image of Shiizaki praying at the front of the ship. How dare you use my image for such an evil-looking design? What? I at least used the last of the Adam wood to make it. Consider it like a blessing to a ship of bloodlust from the looks on the outside. I can't even respond to you without yelling at you. I began walking over to pat Shiizaki's shoulder. It doesn't look that bad. Besides, I think you being on the figurehead is great for us. Shows we have at least some faith. I do not see the logic behind this. Hatsume began having us enter onto the ship with me being allowed as the first one. Once on top deck, the floorboards seemed more like that of a modern ship as opposed to that of a wooden one to what I thought and expected on the outside. So this is my ship now. I placed my hand on the center mast to feel the wood-looking metal on my hands. A truly amazing piece of work. I'm glad you like it. Hatsume walked to the helm of the ship and smiled. A ship made for the Green Demon, a keel made out of the strongest wood that even metal can't compare to, and to top it off, the ability to fight any weather you could think of on the high seas. This and more is why I christened this ship, the Maiden. I cut her off for everyone to remain silent looking at me. I was gonna call it the Oro Jackson's Revenge. Why the Maiden? To not disrespect Shiizaki, who you so blatantly placed on our ship. Speaking of her, what do you think? Do you wanna consider being part of our pirate crew? Shiizaki held a bit of an irritated expression while answering. I really don't think I have much of a choice in this. To be honest, My name is somewhat slandered now that such an audacious image of me is upon a ship of a pirate. Now my name will be dragged down to a pirate's level even if it was not intentional. But that's only half why I will join. But why did you have to make my rendition topless? Shiizaki blushes and screams seeing the wooden statue version of her looking as if it wasn't wearing anything. The version of a naked Virgin Mary would be interesting for demons. Kaminari walked over with a smirk on his face while staring at the statue's boobs. Any chance I can see the real Dia? He was quickly cut off by Jiro, who beat him over the head with a barrel. Shiizaki walked back towards me to try and avoid any more abnormal remarks from the idiot. So what's the other half of your logic why to join? I see that you hold respect for others, Midoriya. I wouldn't join a group if they refuse to respect even the lowest standing person. Tagata and Hato came over and cheered at this. Yeah, we got us another crewmate. Now let's celebrate. They popped open a few beer bottles to pass around to us and the kid pirates. 4. Once everyone had something in their hands, I raised my bottle for everyone to see. Cheers to our new ship, our new friends in the kid pirates and our new crewmate Shiizaki. Cheers. We drank together with each of us talking amongst ourselves into the night for hours on end. By the time the sun came up over the horizon, everyone was for the most part passed out drunk with our journey as a crew only beginning. Unfortunately, we didn't know of the horrid darkness that was looming over us even now, where these merry times would seem like a blessing to keep. Izuku Pav. 4. I started to wake up with the feeling of someone on me. Looking down, I noticed Itsuka laying on top of my chest, Momo and Sue on both of my legs and my head resting on Ochako's stomach. What happened? Oh yeah, we got kinda drunk last night celebrating. I was able to move myself off of all four to walk over towards the bow of the ship where I noticed Kid up and looking out to the opening to the sea. You're up. Good to know. Yeah, he tossed me what looked like a muffin while eating one himself. These help with hangovers. I asked Killer to leave a couple for everyone else. He's right now making sure our ship is secure and is picking up a few supplies before we head out northwestern towards the country of Russia. Thanks. We looked out to the sea and calmly ate until a question came up for Kid. So who's your doctor and cook for your crew? You don't have one for either position, do you?
No, I do not. Should have guessed. So what exactly do you have for hands?
Well, Itsuka and Kachin are really talented and could easily be the first mate or co-first mates. Ochako knows how to steer a ship so she can handle the helm. Momo is great with navigation to be the navigator. Perona can be a scout. Sue should be able to fish for us without issue, and Shiizaki could be a botanist with her knowledge on plants. Counting the three weirdos, the Lapon and the shipwright, that's 12. I'm amazed you haven't gotten a cook or a doctor yet. For now, since you're not on the sea, that's fine. But you will eventually set out now that you have the ship. 2. That means I should without a doubt start looking for a cook and a doctor. Where should I even start? From what I'm told, the pro hero Ryukyu has quite a bit of medical training after spending a few years on the Sakura Islands. You could probably ask her when things settle. For a cook, maybe another pro, just so you don't have that downward gap of experience in combat. In the forest near here, I heard of a 4-person rescue hero group that had some teachings from Okama land. They make food fit for the body and the mind. At least, that's what I'm told. 2. I'll look into it, thanks, anytime. Kid finished his muffin before looking over to his crew. All right, time to get your asses moving, men. Everyone started to get up with the time, saying we had to start moving soon. My crew. We need to get the members of the kingdoms we're assigned to protect up near the northern peninsula of Japan. Let's get moving. Everyone hopped up with Kaminari being pulled up by Todoroki. You three don't want to come along? Since this has to do with your crew, we don't want to get in the way. Todoroki has a point. If we bring people we shouldn't on the ship, that just ends negatively. Hatsume. How long until we're ready to head out? That may be hard without Kaminari. Why? I kinda made the ship thinking he was part of the crew. It needs an electric quirk to charge it. What? What about an electric quirk? Kaminari woke up before holding his head. Ow. Kaminari, Jiro and Todoroki. I have a proposition for the three of you. Since we can't do anything about moving so easily without one of you and the fact we could still use the extra manpower, would you three want to join us? Hell yeah. I always wanted to be a pirate. Well, it wouldn't kill me. I still owe you for your help, so I'll join. Then it's settled. Hatsume. Take Kaminari with you and do what you need to start heading out. Kachin. Take Todoroki, Itsuka and the big three to start getting the ship ready to head out. The rest of you with me. We've got to grab the guests and bring them aboard. Yes, sir. My group charted out to grab the rulers of the kingdoms from the special housing that Ua made specifically for this. Everyone was ready and standing outside for us to lead them towards the dock of our ship. There, everyone made themselves comfortable as we sailed off towards the meeting place for the World Summit. Getting out towards the open sea, many of the crew began feeling a strange sense towards them. That feeling you all have right now, you feel it, right? That thrill of being free on the sea. It's breathtaking. Everyone smiled hearing this before we finally head to the sea. I couldn't hold back my happiness to shout at the top of my lungs. Let's set sail. An hour later we arrived at the port near the meeting to dock and begin getting ready to head off. Once we did, the rulers of the kingdoms were escorted towards the meeting place by government officials, with us being forced to stay out of the building. So what do these meetings talk about? Ochako asked while having Fluffy on her shoulder. From what Princess Vivi has told me, it's mostly just talk about what is going on in the world as well as some other issues that may be happening with neighboring kingdoms such as recent upraises in piracy and so on. From what Momo said, I felt like this was most likely a quiet and somewhat boring thing for them to do. Come on. I want to try and talk to Ryukyu if we can find her here. Make way. Make way. We all looked over towards where the sound was coming from to see a gigantic galleon ship docking. It looked not marine, but still like it belonged to someone important. Momo immediately went pale knowing something. I think it's best we stay as far away from who is coming off. Why the fuck should we? Trust me when I say this, Bakugo, who's coming off right now, you'd be wise to stay away from them and not anger any of those on board. 1. Momo, you're not making any. The people coming off are the celestial dragons. Itsuka. The biggest officials in the world government. You even look at one wrong or just cross them the wrong way and you're dead. 2. She seemed to panic a bit, with a good amount of our crew getting a bit worried by this. Momo. You and the rest of the crew head back towards the ship and calm down a bit. We'll stay here and make sure the area's secure. She agreed to have Kaminari, Jiru, Perona, Amajiki and Shiizaki towards the ship. So are we still looking for the dragon hero? In a minute, Kachin. I want to take a look at these celestial dragons. Just what are the celestial dragons anyway? I turned to Hado to explain. Over 800 years ago, in the world where the rulers of the kingdoms are from here, there was a time known as the blank century. 100 years of no information, absolutely lost to the ages. The only thing that we know happened during this time is that the world government was formed with 20 kingdoms joining together. These 20, aside from the Nefertari family who wanted to remain where they were, went to live in the kingdom of Mary-Joise. The kingdom on the red line several miles above everyone. So they're some kind of high ruling leaders. Not necessarily Tagada. Unfortunately, the members of the celestial dragons had been given the opportunity to basically do whatever they want. This led to them abusing this power, with each generation becoming far worse than the last. So they're spoiled assholes. From what I'm getting from this, it sounds about right. Kachin and Itsuka began agreeing with this before I pointed out the major issue with the celestial dragons. The celestial dragons are an image for the world government. As such, they have the authorization if one is harmed to summon a marine admiral to deal with any problems. 3. You're saying these guys can call a marine admiral up to fight for them? Everyone shouted for me to nod. They aren't dangerous per se, but the status and the ability to call one of the most powerful members of the Marines is what makes them dangerous. If anything, we'd be best not to anger them. The sound of gunfire began to ring for us to look at the ship. Why are none of you kneeling? You miserable humans better show your respect. A man in a bubble who looked extremely unappealing started walking down in white robes. He looked around for the people to start clearing out. Only a few remained for those affiliated with the Marines to bow to them on their hands and knees. One by one, the celestial dragons came off the ship, with it looking as if they were all off and walking by us. You? The one with the swords. One of the celestial dragons that caused a ruckus before pointed a gun at my face. Kneel. Unlike in your world, the celestial dragons are here as diplomats with no say in how our government works. If you fire that gun now, Be prepared for all-out war to break out with your head being placed on a stick. Are you prepared for that? Because as far as I can tell, you're no different than us since you bleed the same blood as us. I glared at the man with him starting to panic. If I were you, I'd put that gun away before somebody gets hurt, and I know for a fact it won't be me. He shook in fear before pulling his gun away. Uncultured swine like you don't deserve to talk to me like that. But I'm already running late, so you live. The man walked away with his group pretending not to be afraid. Let's go. I want to find Ryukyu before we start any more trouble with officials from the world government. We all agreed for us to head out. As we did though, we didn't notice the straggler from the group riding on what looked like a man with a collar on him. Ochako accidentally bumped into them and knocked the bloated fool off. 3. How dare you bump into me, you unsightly little miscreant? He pointed his gun at Ochako for Fluffy to knock her out of the way before the shot fired. In that moment, I saw Ochako's head bleed while falling to the ground. In my mind, I became so mad that I started to have blind rage come over me. She hit the ground with all of us heading towards her to make sure she was okay. Ochako, Uraraka. 1/3 person Pav. Disgusting rodent. He made my shot miss. The celestial dragon aimed his gun again at Ochako for Fluffy to jump and bite the man's hand. Ow! You disgusting little thing. How dare you bite my hand? The sound of the gunshot made several people come, including some unique dressed people. Get off of me. The celestial dragon pulled Fluffy off and slammed him into the ground. Seeing the act in front of him, Izuku's blood boiled as he began to charge and pull Chujutsun to slice down the enemy. Before he could though, a man in a suit came over to defend the celestial dragon. Seems you all are having quite the ordeal. 2. So, am I to assume you're part of CP0? 2. Perceptive boy. I am part of that group. You can call me Lucci. The man kicked Izuku away before continuing. Knowing me should give you a point to know what you're up against and why you should walk away now. And let that son of a bitch get away with shooting one of the women I love. Fuck that. Both immediately began charging at one another before a man with a square nose and Hancock came between them. 1. Midoriya. Calm down. In a fit of rage, Izuku turned to Hancock and shouted at her. That monster shot Ochako, and you want me to calm down? Hancock held a finger up to get him to listen and pointed towards Ochako. There, she showed Ryukyu patching her up with a first aid kit. She's okay. She only got the side of her head grazed. For now, just stay back and don't cause trouble. Thinking a little clearer, Izuku calmed down and placed his sword back in its sheath. I apologize for his crude behavior. My colleague here did not have any ill will towards this. However, we do have proof that the celestial dragons had begun this. In exchange for being silent of this, we ask that no charges be filed with the world government. You think I'm going to? Izuku gave a flick of OFA to cut the bubble and graze the celestial dragon's cheek. 2. That was for my crewmate who you hurt. In my opinion, you deserve worse. But going farther would be a problem for both me and my group. Consider this a warning to not anger me again. Hold it. Lucci came forwards with a smile. You just caused bodily harm on a celestial dragon. Don't think this is over just because you say so. Since you probably don't know what's going to happen, let me explain it to you. The man transformed into a giant leopard to signify he ate a zone devil fruit. 1. The world government won't take too kindly to that. I suggest you get ready for a fight on your hands since either me or the admirals are going to be breaking down your door prepared to kill you. Izuku picked up Fluffy who was struggling to stand while glaring at the enormous catman. I'm not afraid of you. He returned to Ochako's side with her head bandaged up. Is she okay to move now? Yes, but I'd rather make sure she gets somewhere safe. Itsuka enlarged her fist for Ochako to be placed on before they walked away. While they did, Izuku looked back and gave a wave of Conqueror's Haki to send chills down everyone's spine in the area with some of the Marines and the Celestial Dragon being knocked out. I won't forget this day nor will I forgive him for what he's done. Then that means we will most likely face. I hope you're ready for a fight, boy, because you without a doubt have one coming. Lucci smiled while transforming back to his human form to bring the unconscious world noble inside. Izuku Pav. After the incident with the Celestial Dragon and the CP0 guys, Ryukyu helped bring Ochako back to the maiden where everyone else is. Do you have a cabin where I can treat her? There's a small room down below deck to the left we were planning to use for a first aid room. Seeing Ochako hurt, everyone on the ship went wide-eyed. The heck happened to Uraraka? A world noble happened. Itsuka states with a little anger in her voice as she placed Ochako on a small bed for Ryukyu to start treating a little better. This celestial dragon tried to shoot her with Fluffy pushing her out of the way. On the bright side, she doesn't look like she was knocked out by anything outside of a bad hit on the head after falling. The injury from the bullet isn't too serious, but I'd recommend her take it easy for now. Thank you, Ryukyu. I bowed to her as the dragon hero got up. It isn't anything special. I would suggest you make a course of action. I doubt this will end with just that slash to the world noble. She left the ship with the hateful glare of someone coming directly at me. I turned to see Shiizaki, who normally had a stoic face, seem extremely enraged. What happened? I ended up cutting a celestial dragon with it only being a small. I was cut off by her slapping me hard across the face. Do you have any idea what you have done? Because of your selfish ACT, everyone on this ship will pay the consequences. Why are you so hostile against this? I know this won't end just because of that, but this is over the top. I'm hostile because you do not understand the level of danger you are facing. The world government won't let this go, and neither will the celestial dragons. They'll find us, they'll kill you for acting against them, then they'll enslave or kill the rest of us just to set an example. Why to not anger them? Shiizaki began walking out and towards the top deck before heading off the ship. Where are you going? Perona shouted. I'd rather be as far away from all of you when the celestial dragons, or heaven forbid, CP0 comes to make an example out of all of you. Consider this my official resignation of the green demons. Wait, Shiizaki. Itsuka started going after her with Jiro and Momo trying to follow. Don't follow them. They stared back at me confused with Kachan speaking up. I'm with the shrub here. Why? If things are as bad as she says they'll be, wouldn't her going off on her own make her a target? Just let it go, Jiro. Itsuka's a classmate of Shiizaki. Let her handle this and give them some room to breathe. Besides, I'd rather make a plan of defense right now since we have to deal with the threat of the world government taking action. This didn't sit right with anyone, but they understood that the situation at hand wasn't good for any of us and splitting up would be easily one of the worst decisions we could make. Perona, can you use your hollows to keep a radius of about 10 meters out checked? If there's an attack from the Cypher Pull unit, I'd rather know about it before they're on top of us. Sure. But do you mind if half and half here watches my body? In order to do this to the best of my abilities, I need to be asleep. I glanced over to Todoroki, who nodded, saying he was fine with it. Done. There's a spare room down the hall. They left with all of us moving to sit on the open deck of the ship. All right. Let's go over everything that happened so you all know. Meanwhile, in a spare room, third-person Pav. I refuse. Akainu spoke with some of the high-ranking members of the hero board about the ordeal that had recently happened. The Green Demon attacked one of our world nobles. This is a matter that needs to be handled our way, or else there won't be any order with our world. Perhaps, but the same could be said about the Celestial Dragon. The board member showed a surveillance footage of the Celestial Dragons trying to intimidate Izuku before this, as well as pointing a gun at him before the incident with Ochako and her obviously bumping into one by accident for the world noble blowing it entirely out of proportion to shoot at her. If you try anything with Izuku Midoriya, we will bring this man as well as the one who was shooting the gun before up on illegal use of firearms, assault and attempted murder. Obviously, if a Celestial Dragon was to be brought on these charges, it would look horrible on the Marines. So I propose a deal. Akainu listened carefully to this. We won't pull any charges on any of the world nobles during this, even though they obviously were the initiators during this, as long as you do not hold any repercussions for Izuku Midoriya or any of his crew. Absolutely not. Think about it, Fleet Admiral. Because of the incident in Impel Down not that long ago, as well as your poor actions against those going to Laughtail, several dangerous criminals are in this world. We covered up most of them, to say the least dangerous ones, with ones such as Doflamingo, Crocodile and Blackbeard held from the public ears, but this caused extreme backlash on our treaties. The warlords were our way to stabilize our treaties because of your government's mistakes. If word got out that you pulled a warlord or made one a target, people will want answers why, and they will eventually learn the truth. It's not as easy to keep information locked away here as it is in your world.
Consider the backlash if you do deny this. I'm certain your forces won't take too kindly of being expelled out of here. Especially since we could say what really happened to let all those prisoners free.
Akainu looked at the board member with some anger. What are you talking about? You can play ignorant all you want, but our informants are in key positions just like yours. All we want is just for this to be thrown under the rug for peaceful negotiations, Sake. You need our heroes, and we need your marines. Everyone wins if you agree. Akainu looked at his options. The higher-ups wouldn't look kindly to someone getting away with assaulting a world noble, especially if it got out. However, worse things would happen if one or two were arrested for causing problems. I'll accept this for now. However, don't think I'll look kindly to anything outside of this agreement. My alignment is with my government, not yours. The fleet admiral left with him, walking a notable distance away before pulling out a transponder snail. Hero, are you there? Yes, sir. How may I be of assistance? I have a mission for CP0. I'm certain Lucci and Kaku wouldn't mind fighting the green demons again. Two on the other side of the line, a man that was wearing white face paint listened and held an unfazed look on him. Tell us how you would like this done and we will handle it. With Itsuka and Shiizaki. Itsuka Pav. Hey, wait up. I shouted for Shiizaki to walk faster before I came close to her to grab her shoulder for me to speak. Shiizaki, what's the matter? Unhand me. She pulled away to see it was me to try and calm down a bit. I apologize. That was not necessary. What's the matter? You don't normally show your emotions like that or let yourself get so heated. She seemed to be really upset for me to point towards a bench nearby. Want to sit down and we can talk about it? She agreed for us to sit for about 10 minutes to let herself calm down a little. You're aware I do not change with you all, correct? You change in a stall if I remember correctly. I kinda always wanted to know why, but didn't want to be rude and bluntly ask. 2. There's a reason. She turned away with some shame in saying the next part. Do you recall the statement about what the celestial dragons can and cannot do? Basically, they can get away with almost anything from what it sounded like. Yes. They can. Unfortunately, this means anything that they do is deemed harmless in the eyes of the world government, even if it actually is illegal. This got my curiosity pulled in with Shiizaki holding her hands, looking as if she was carrying a lot of weight on her shoulders. When I was a child, I had went on a missionary with my family and church to the Grand Line. We were told that we were going to help find and save those that needed. Our missionary work went to the Sabodi archipelago. It was beautiful. The land we stood on was the Sabodi trees themselves. Words could not describe the beauty of the land itself. Unfortunately, I had been so engrossed with the image that I had been separated from my group. This caused me to wander around the area for a bit of time. Eventually, I was found. But it wasn't my family nor my church that found me. I could see she was scared before explaining who found her. Slave traders found me. They believed I was easy prey and sent me off to a slave auction. So you were? I mean. Yes. I was sold to a slave owner. Though it is illegal, the high nobles of the world could get away with this. I figured things would be bad enough if I was sold as a slave, but I was far wrong. The one that bought me was the worst kind of noble there was. I swallowed a lump in my throat while asking. A celestial dragon. She nodded before slowly pulling her shirt up to reveal her stomach. On it held a burn that made her break down in tears. The first thing they did was brand me. Make me seem no different than some sort of materialistic thing to own. To them, I wasn't even a person. I was only something to be owned. When they did it, they weren't even seeing me when they smiled wickedly at me. All they saw was just something they thought they owned or had right to have. I could tell she was on the verge of losing it. I was forced to be nothing more than a porcelain doll. Never to speak. Never to cry. Never to show emotion. All I was to this disgusting man that bought me was a servant that he could kick, punch, even make bleed without fear of repercussions. Those that spoke up or even showed any emotion at all were deemed defective and. She started shaking without being able to finish her sentence. From the lack of empathy from the one before, I could tell what happened to the slaves. So what happened after? How did you escape this life? Sniffle. I owe that to the Revolutionary Army's former chief of staff, Sabo. He came to the Holy Land as they called it and freed us. I ran as fast as I could to be picked up by them.
I told them I didn't belong in this world and that my home was in Japan for them to bring me back. If I could ever repay them for what happened, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I found my church and family again and regained my life. At least, to some degree. What do you mean? She put her shirt down and held her stomach in shame. I can never unsee what I have or unfeel the pain that has been dealt. Every time I see this mark, it reminds me of that. I can never escape what I had happen to me, and I fear when someone sees this mark, they will bring me back to that monster who did this to me and I become what I was again. Nothing but a piece of property. She began crying to stain her pants with her tears. When I heard what Midoriya had done, I feared they'd find out and take me back. I never ever want to return or force others to be put in that if I can. That's why I'm scared and want nothing to do with Midoriya and his pirate crew after hearing it. She kept crying with my hands slowly going to her in a way to hug Shiizaki. All I could do was hold her and be some kind of comfort. Shiizaki, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry that you had to go through with that. If Izuku knew your trouble with the celestial dragons, he would have never suggested you come. I would have never suggested you'd come. I stayed like this with her for a few minutes with one of Corona's hollows coming over and holding what looked like a tear in its eye. Hearing this. Come on, let's go. I think it's best if you start leaving if you're this concerned. We began heading out before the sound of someone walking towards us pulled us to their attention. Why hello. It seems that I've found some lost property. 3. Perhaps I can fix things up where Izuku Midoriya stole something from one of the celestial dragons and make that as an excuse why they wanted to kill him and his crewmates. It sounds believable enough. All I'd have to do is kill you and take the girl. The woman came directly at us to pull her leg back and unleash a shockwave. Tempest kick. I blocked the attack with a bit of hockey in my forearms with the woman coming back under me to thrust her pointer finger into me with armament hockey coating it. Finger pistol. The attack sent me back a bit into another bench for me to stand up and reveal hockey coating the area she hit. Kendo. Alright lady, just who are you? The woman started to laugh a bit to herself before introducing herself. It doesn't matter since you're going to die, but my name is Stussy and I'm a member of CPO. I groaned to myself before answering. Something tells me that this is going to be a long day. Third person Pav. Corona's hollows came to her again and have her wake up on the bed she was sleeping on. We got a problem. She immediately ran out to Izuku where he was going over a plan with everyone. Kendo and Shiizaki are being attacked. Where are they? Izuku jumped up ready to bolt with Corona pointing in a direction. Southeast of here. They're fighting a woman that says she's part of CPO. Kachin. With me. Everyone else, get ready to head out at a moment's notice. I'm coming too. Ochako bolted out of the lower cabins after waking up and overhearing what was happening. Wait. Corona tried to stop them with Izuku ignoring and storming to where Itsuka and Shiizaki were. Todoric and Tagata, raise the anchor. Hatsume and Kaminari get the ship ready to leave. The second everyone's back on or it becomes too dangerous to stay here, I want us to set sail with no problems. You can't be serious right now. Momo starts unlatching some of the sail before answering. Right now, our objective is to keep this ship and everyone aboard safe. Izuku, Bakugo, Ochako and Itsuka can take care of themselves. Against CPO. That's psychotic. Corona shouted in anger with it going unacknowledged. Momo stopped pulling the masses down as she began to hear something. Everyone brace. Cannon fire came on the group for Sue to stumble towards the wheel. Where's the cannon fire coming from? Port bow. Amajiki shouted seeing several marine battleships come at them. I thought we were friends with the marines. That probably changed when Izuku attacked the celestial dragon, Najire. Momo stood up with Hatsume hopping up above deck. Hatsume, do we have any weapons? Glad you asked that. Hatsume hit a button for several cannons to come out of the side. 1. Everyone, get ready for battle. With Izuku, the three began running as fast as they could with Izuku glancing back at Ochako. You really shouldn't be out and moving yet. Oh, spare me the details. Itsuka's someone we care about, so I'm not letting her get hurt. I gotta side with Deku on this one. You're not in the best situation right now, so it'd be better if you sat this one out. Sensing something coming their way, Izuku stopped and pivoted his body to face the threat. Heads up, An attack from a leopard man came directly for Izuku, with it pulling him towards a building out of sight. Deku. Bakugo charged for him with a man having a square nose attacking with swords towards the ash blonde. Bakugo. Izuku. Ochako found herself alone with a strange smoke surrounding her. What's going on? It seems Lucci and Kaku couldn't control their excitement any longer. That's fine. Those two were probably better suited for them anyway. Hello madam. My name is Piro. My sincerest apologies, but I am here under orders to kill you and your crew. 2. For what purpose? Piro remained stoic while answering. For the crimes of assaulting a world noble. So it doesn't matter that he attacked us first. That's a load of bull, especially since this started because of him. A cut was felt on Ochako's arm for her to look down and see a gash on her bicep. I didn't even see him move.
Looking around, the brunette began to notice several forms of Piro around her. I'm sure you are already aware that this fog is around us. This is my doing, Miss Uraraka. He knows who I am. This is part of my devil fruit. I had eaten what's called the mirage fruit to become a mirage man. So long as this fog is around us, you will be unable to fight me thanks to it clouding your senses. Why are you telling me this? All I have to do now to avoid it is get out of the fog. Ochako began running as fast as she could in a general direction to be unable to find an exit. I should have hit a wall or something by now. She looked down to see another gash on her thigh. What the heck is happening? As I told you before, this fog allows me to cloud my enemy's senses. As such, it is almost impossible for someone to defeat me so long as the weather remains as is. So you're using the fact it's a nice day aligned with the fact you can alter my senses in this to keep me in a trap. That is correct. My original goal was to ensnare Green Demon while Lucci and Kaku finished off you and your friend. But as long as one of you is trapped in here, all will end eventually. Several more forms of Piro came out of the fog to surround Ochako. You will never be able to tell who is the real me and who is the fake. All you can do now is stand there and wait for me to kill you. Hearing another blade come at her, Ochako dodged where she thought it was coming from, with her being wrong and nearly having a metal ring blade slice her nose off. So it's not just my vision he can mess with, he can mess with my other senses as well. Trying to calm herself down, Ochako prepared to fight Piro however she could. Who'd have thought I'd be trying to deal with one of these CP0 guys today? With Bakugo. Damn you fucking block nose. Bakugo began setting off an explosion at the man for him to dodge it and stand wielding two swords. My name is Kaku. Like I give a fuck. Die. Kaku activated Shave for him to come directly behind Bakugo with his blades about to slice his neck off. Paper arts. The ash blonde evaded this by moving his back almost as if it was paper before holding his hand up and sending a blast towards the Cypher Pull member. You're quick to react. Not bad. I don't need to hear that from a shitty fake swordsman. And in what way am I a fake swordsman? I'm actually quite known for my swordsmanship among my peers. You're no swordsman. You're a coward. This comment made Kaku raise his eyebrow. Bakugo pointed to his back to set an example. A real swordsman would never attack a man behind them first. They'd allow someone the chance to attack them frontally while also attacking the front. That's something Deku and his old man taught me. The fact your first attack was one to the back and your second was an attempted kill to the back of my neck proves you're nothing but a coward. Having enough of hearing this, Kaku came directly at Bakugo with his twin swords to slash at him. We'll see who's not a swordsman in a moment. Iron Body. Bakugo's arm became solid as stone before coating it with what he knew of hockey. Armament hardening. He blocked both swords for Kaku to jump up and create air-pressurized kicks. Tempest Kick. The ash blonde avoided them to come at the CP0 operative with an explosion as well as a punch from his right fist. He's fast. Kaku fused hockey with his blades for them to defend against Bakugo for both to be sent back towards the ground. I gotta admit. You're stronger than our data expected after your fight with Killer. Trust me, I'm more than warmed up today thanks to that little stunt that happened. Now you're gonna feel what happens when you piss off me and my captain by going after one of our own. Bakugo used his explosions to move quickly towards Kaku. The man avoided this by using Moonwalk only to see Bakugo activate Shave and show up above him. Take this you fucking CP0 fake. This is for Uraraka. He let loose a massive blast that forced Kaku to be sent towards the ground. And this one is for Kendo and Vine Bitch. AP shot. The ash blonde let loose a massive blast that covered the area and kept everything from being seen. 3. Knowing this wasn't enough to take down a member of one of the most powerful cipher pulls, Bakugo didn't let his guard down to see a giant creature come out of the smoke looking like a humanoid giraffe. I guess you've made it a point that I need to fight more seriously. I hope you're ready for a fight. Seeing the creature, Bakugo smirked seeing this. So you're a devil fruit user. That just makes this all the more fun. He jumped up and went directly for Kaku's enlarged neck. You're mine, you stupid long-necked horse. 2. Kaku blocked the attack with his head coated in haki while smirking. I'm not a horse, I'm a giraffe. With Izuku used both Chujitsuna and Kandaina to block Lucci's attacks as they came at him. Damn it. I let myself get caught off guard to have him pull me away from everyone. Not wanting to let anyone from his crew get hurt, Izuku pulled Chujitsuna back and coated it with haki before giving an upward slash. Lucci blocked this for Izuku to use Kandaina to make a small cut on the leopard man's chest and push him back. I'm only going to say this once, Rob Lucci. Get out of my way or else you'll feel far worse. Taking his finger to run across the slash, Lucci licked the blood on his index finger and smiled. Sorry, but I've got a job to do and I'm the type to not fail a task given. 1. Fine then. I guess I'll have to take you down before I head back to Ochako. Izuku pivoted his foot to storm at Lucci and have him bend his knees in a fighting position. Shave. The cipher pole member disappeared and reappeared behind Izuku before sending his finger forward coated in haki. Finger pistol. Izuku used Kandaina to block the attack while coating it with haki. Before he could counter, Lucci pulled his foot back and kicked Izuku's head, sending him back into a wall. Now. Tempest kick. A slash came towards the green-haired man for him to jump to the side before getting slapped in the face with Lucci's tail. Izuku attacked back with both blades for them to be grabbed by Lucci. Now I think it's time to get serious, don't you agree, Green Demon? Lucci gave a swift kick to Izuku's stomach before turning back to his human form. Izuku pulled himself out of the side of the wall before having enough. I think you're right. It is time to get serious. He pulled out Muramasa from the sheath and placed it in his mouth. Now it's time to show off my full power to the likes of you. With Itsuka and Shiizaki, Itsuka began fighting Stussy with her naginata for the cipher pole member to avoid her attacks constantly. You really should learn how to fight better. There is no beauty in your fighting. She dodges an attack to the left. There is no art. She dodges another to the right. And most importantly, after an upward strike, Stussy went under to land a timed tempest kick to Itsuka's stomach. You leave yourself wide open for an attack. Itsuka went flying the other way into a wall, this time without activating haki fast enough to dull the blow. She stumbled out of the destroyed side, toppled over in pain. Kendo. Stay back. Itsuka shouted at Shiizaki, who had Stussy come behind her as she glanced back to obtain a solid backhand coated in armament to the face and knocked to the ground. Slaves should know their place. The CP0 agent held her foot on Shiizaki's back, applying pressure slowly before it started to cause pain with her not stopping. You honestly believed that you were worth more than a dime? Pitiful. Once you're a slave, your rights as a human being are stripped from you. You should already know that. Shiizaki started to move a bit for the heel of Stussy's shoe to dig into the vine woman's back. Yet you insistently pester and resist the truth. You're defective. Not worth the time. Her finger came pointed at the back of Shiizaki's neck for her to panic, feeling. It's fine, however. I'll just put in my report that I had no choice but to kill you. That woman over there refused to let me bring you in and used you as a hostage. In the attempt to reclaim what was a celestial dragon's property, she took your head off. 6. You bitch. Itsuka came at her again with her naginata to strike down with all the haki she could infused in her blade. Stussy merely looks at her before coating her own hand in haki and having the blade shatter in front of her. Truly pathetic that you're part of a group meant to cause so much trouble for us. In the moment of shock, Stussy hit Itsuka's vitals with 5 consecutive finger pistols to send her back into a wall. She moved her head up to watch the cipher pole member turn her attention back onto Shiizaki. Leave her alone. Feeling a broken rib, Itsuka moved her body the best she could with Stussy paying it little mind. You can't even fight anymore. I wouldn't even try it. Goodbye. Defective product. Stussy's finger came barreling down at Shiizaki's neck for her to shut her eyes in fear of what was to happen next. She heard something connect, but didn't feel pain. Looking up, Shiizaki found a katana held in front of her with a man holding several tattoos on his body defending her. Sorry I'm late. Traffic. Fortunately that ghost was able to tell me and the others what happened so far. 3. Remembering the face, Shiizaki looked in awe. Unbelievable. TCH. Of course the worst generation would come here. But out of everyone, I wouldn't have assumed the most cunning to be facing me. Then again, UDs always do make the most trouble. 1. Stussy pulled back for the man to pull Shiizaki back to her feet. You okay? Shiizaki nodded as the man made a type of sphere around them and Itsuka. Room. Shambles. He transported Itsuka to them and began altering her body in a way. Sir. Not that I do not appreciate your assistance with saving me and helping my friend, but who are you? Itsuka felt her ribs and internal damage disappear for her to get a better look at the man. Captain of the Hard Pirates. The man that sailed with Straw Hat Luffy and his crew to help take down the heavenly demon Doflamingo and push back both the Big Mom and Beast pirates to open the land of Wano. The Surgeon of Death himself, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. 1. That's right. Itsuka looked back at her Naginata with a little shame. I can't fix weapons. I'm sorry. I can only heal the human body. Placing it down on the ground, Itsuka started cracking her knuckles and getting into a battle stance. What are you doing? This is my fight, so I need to handle it. I agree. Shiizaki stood up rather angered. I'm ashamed to say that it was my fault I was able to have that happen to me. I'm disgusted with the fact I have not grown from childhood and am still afraid of what I was. I even left a crew that was willing to offer me a place. So when we are done here, I'll return and apologize to Midoriya and plead for his forgiveness and ask him to bring me back in. Itsuka smirked while looking back at her friend. You could find yourself in more trouble with the Marines. You might even have to face the Celestial Dragons again. Then so be it. Shiizaki gripped where her mark was in rage. This mark. I'm disgusted by it. But the one thing I'm more disgusted by is myself right now for being this weak. Well, that ends today. She glared at Stussy with rage. You hear me? I shall never return to what I was and become a pirate of the Green Demons. This is my oath that I swear to even God himself. Well, a fire was lit in her. You're 1 in a million, Shiizaki, just like our captain. Flashback 15 years ago, Shiizaki Pov. Sold, for 500 million berries. The sound of a gaffle was the last I heard when I realized freedom was no longer a privilege to me. Not long after this, a disgustingly portly man whose head was covered in a bubble came to grab my arm. Thank you for your generous object, my good man. She'll make an excellent addition to my collection. He came down to my level to smile at me. Your skin is so smooth. It's almost as if I'm staring at a Pericline doll. Not to mention your hair is quite a spectacle. You'll be quite the jewel of my quirked collection. 1. He tried to place his hand on my head for me to pull away in panic. And no, stay back. He gripped his arm tighter before pulling me near him. I said no. I slapped the bubble the man had for it to pop and an audible slapping sound was heard. Everyone gasped as I looked to see what I had done. You. Disrespectful, little brat. I was thrown on the floor immediately and kicked repeatedly in the face, the stomach and anywhere the man desired. How dare you speak down to me? You're nothing but a filthy slave. You should be honored a man like me as your master. Now look what you have done. You made me breathe the same disgusting air as you filthy humans breathe. I was barely able to breathe before the man pulled me up by my shirt collar, clearly enraged still. Now, are you going to be a good little doll and come with me, or still throw a futile tantrum? Because if you still do, he held a gun to my head for me to shake in fear. I have no use for you otherwise. Now I paid good money for you, so the least you could do is be my doll. Understand? I shook my head, yes, afraid of what he'd do. Just because I wasn't wanting to go with him and accidentally slapped him, the man wasn't afraid to hit me. I knew he wasn't afraid of killing from that action. Good. Now let's go home. I was dragged away like a toy with everyone in the room staring at me. Later that day. Immediately after heading to the land known as Marijoy, I was brought in a side room where a burning coal was. In it, held a handle that the man took to mark my stomach with a crest. There. Now you're mine. I held my side in extreme pain while letting my tears go for this to set the man off again. Stop that disgusting crying. You don't deserve the right to cry. He kicked me again while holding his cheek. You were the one that assaulted me. If anyone has the right to cry, it's me. Understanding now I had no freedom anymore, I held my tears and afraid what he'd do. Good. Now, I think it's time to put you in your new outfit. I was dragged into another room where over a dozen children were. Some had mutation quirks, while others had features that resembled dolls. Now, this little dress and this flower band will look perfect on you. Now, let's get you changed, my new doll. He treated me no different than a toy. He saw no human being, just a material object to even go as far as to change me himself. I've never felt so disgusted or ashamed in my life. I would on occasion ask my mother for help tying my shoes or helping me with a dress I might wear, but this was beyond anything I would do. There. All nice and pretty. Now if you behave, I'll make sure you're taken care of, if not. Achoo. The sound of one of the kids on the podium turned the man's attention to them for his face to contort in anger again. He pulled his gun out and immediately shot the child, killing them instantly with a bullet to the head. Not to worry, that doll was losing its interest in me anyway. Now, be a good little doll and remain perfectly still. If you do, nothing bad will happen. I dared not move in fear he'd kill me as well for the man to pull the corpse of the child he killed off and sit me right where they were. Perfect. Now, I shall return later my lovely little dolls. The man left the room for the sound of his footsteps for me to shake and cry. This is wrong. Hick, why am I here? Don't cry. I glanced over to the person saying this to see a girl with crimson hair and a white sundress with a red bow on. If you cry, it gives him a reason to kill you. 1. He just killed someone for no reason. What reason was there for the person next to you to die? He moved. No matter what, we must never move, and he knew that. The girl next to me turned to show a broken look on her. One that held a fake smile. At this point, reality sank in that I'm no longer a human. I'm nothing but a doll. A doll that never speaks, never moves, never shows emotions. Just a doll that used to be a human. 5 years later, days soon turned to weeks. Weeds turned to months. Soon enough, all track of time was gone to me. My body's circulation was diminishing each day. I couldn't even use a bathroom properly, since whenever I would see someone unable to hold it any longer, they'd die. Eventually, I was one of 3 left from when I was obtained. The girl beside me eventually died from poor living conditions and went unnoticed for a few days. When she was, the man who owned us was enraged, not because she died, but because she started to rot. Whenever I was alone, I'd rest how I could with my body struggling to even last. I feared that this year would be my end. The other 2 on this day in particular decided there was nothing they could do and were prepared to die by their own hands. I watched as they pulled a knife from a drawer and took their own lives. I thought a considerable amount about joining them, with this also being out of reach. My body was so weak and frail that I couldn't even move anymore. The only thing I could do at this point was wait to die. Please. God. I don't want to die. Not like this. As if someone answered my prayers, the door to the room burst open for a man with blonde hair and a scar over his one eye came in. 2. What is this place? He glanced over to me before coming closer. He noticed the 2 on the ground to hold his head in shame. To think you 2 took your own lives. Nobody should have to think that's the only way out. 1, plural. Ease. I spoke up as loud as I could for the man to look at the shelf I was on. Plural. Ease. HELP. Me. Koala. We have a few live ones. A woman came in next wearing a pink outfit and holding a strange device. Just stay perfectly still. She used it on the collar. I had to open it before going to the others and taking them off. Sabo. Grab some of the others and help get the kids out of here. I already sent a message through the snail. They'll be here in a minute. The man pulled me off the shelf to feel how my body was and hold absolute rage in him. Don't worry, kid. The Revolutionary Army is gonna help take you away from here. You'll be free again. I'll be free. Tears came to my eyes hearing this, for my face to show the most emotion I've had in years. Ank. You. Back to present. Third person Pav. So the country betrayed our alliance. No matter. It was hanging on by a thread to begin with. Stussy got into a running stance before charging at the 3. This makes no difference at all. 1. Shambles. Law used his abilities to teleport him and the girls away before storming over with his hand out, creating electricity. Scalpel. Seeing the attack, Stussy evaded quickly, understanding this was something extremely dangerous before seeing a shadow over her. Take this. Itsuka gave a fist the size of her with haki over it. This was a simple block for the CP0 agent for her to coat her own hand in haki to avoid damage with ease. Did you honestly think a larger fist would? She was stopped with the feeling of her body being pushed back as if the impact actually did happen. 200 brick fist. The attack sent Stussy into the ground with Shiizaki's vines coming from beneath to keep her still. Let's see you block this one. Multiple 200 brick fists. Itsuka released punch after punch of constant attacks using both haki and fishman karate to increase the damage. As she did, the vines around Stussy slowly weakened for her to break them and grab Itsuka's neck. Now look what you've done, you incompetent little brat. Blood dripping down her face from internal damage done. The Cypher Pole member pulled her finger back, prepared to end things. I'll see you in hell. Flying finger gun. With nowhere to go, Itsuka prepared to take the attack before the Cypher Pole member changed her attack's target. If I attack her first, then that means I can catch her off guard and maybe take down Trafalgar as well. This is your faults for going against the world government. Once seeing the target, Itsuka panicked and tried to get out of Stussy's grip as fast as she can. Shiizaki. Run. She's aiming for you. Too late. The shot fired for Shiizaki to try and get out of the way. However, the attack was moving too fast for her to get away, for the sound of something hitting it to be heard. Now that's one down. Dust covered the area for it to be impossible for anyone to see what happened before it cleared and showed a massive boulder with small hole that cracked the entire boulder apart. What? You forgot you were still in my room, didn't you? Panicking and looking back, Stussy saw Law in her grip instead of Itsuka with what looked like a knife made of green lightning in his hands. Gamma knife. He slammed the knife right through her chest for a massive wave of electricity to be seen in the area. Stussy screamed in pain as her body felt like it was being ripped to shreds from the inside out. Whoa. Itsuka stood in shock as Shiizaki watched next to her, baffled she was witnessing what she was. This is the power of the op-op fruit. So long as we're in Trafalgar's room, we're nothing more than patients on his operating table. It's because of this that he was able to defeat over 100 pirates and give their still-beating hearts to the Marines in order to obtain his position as one of the original 7 pirate warlords after the War of the Best. Law released his room and Gamma knife for Stussy to lay on the ground unconscious and coughing up blood. This is the power of the captain of the Heart Pirates and one of the most tactical of the worst generation. Law stood and walked towards the two, seemingly unfazed by what happened. She's not dead, but she'll need medical help if somebody doesn't come for her. Just. What did you do? I used radio waves like how they would cure cancerous tumors and created a knife to inject in her. Thanks to what you showed from Fishman Karate, I could tell that was going to be one of the best ways to handle this. To put it bluntly, I ripped her organs apart without even needing to pierce her skin. A shiver went down both girls' spines as the thought of this came to them. Now, we've got bigger problems. 3 members of your crew as well as your ship is under attack. Hearing this, Itsuka cracked her knuckles ready to fight. Where? Easy, we've got other members of the worst generation helping out. With Bakugo, the ash blonde was having a bit more trouble with his explosions doing some damage, but not nearly enough for several cuts to be on his body. So, you gonna take back what you said about me being a fake swordsman yet? Kaku smiled for Bakugo to wipe some blood off his mouth. I'll admit, you're tough. For a fake. Kaku came charging back with his swords, attacking at fast speeds. Thanks to his armament, Bakugo was able to block the attack, but not before noticing it was a trick for Kaku's lengthened head to slam down on him with it coated in haki. It connected and sent the explosion quirk user into the ground. I think he just broke my jaw. You and that captain of yours are nothing but useless fakes. I hope you said your final farewells. Kaku's blade came at Bakugo's neck before it was stopped for some reason. What the? Repel. Both blades and Kaku were sent back for Bakugo to stand up and see both Kid and Killer walking over towards them. Seems we got here in just enough time. 2 getting up, Kaku stared at both before becoming enraged. The worst generation's here. That's right. Right now, Straw Hat and his crew are helping the green demons on their ship. The pro Ryukyu is helping out the girl that your mist friend is facing. As for Midoriya, there's a special person that wanted to help him. 1. Did Ryukyu give a call or something? Bakugo questioned as he got ready for round 2. With Izuku as Lucci gave attack after attack, Izuku deflected and attacked as well. Both seemed to be causing damage to one another with neither wanting to give an inch. You punk. Stupid cat. Both clashed with hockey-infused blades and claws while on the side. Hawkeye sat listening to their clash. It seems you're holding your own. I see no reason to interfere yet. Using observation hockey, he watched the battle happen away from eye view and smiled. This is but one trial you must face Izuku. Will you be able to handle all others that come your way, or will this be where your story ends? Both clashed again for the sound of their attacks echoing through the empty building. Third-person POV. Just stay back, kid, we've got this from here. Kid and Killer stood ready to fight Kaku as he prepared for the battle ahead of him. Stay out of this. Bakugo got in front of the two struggling to walk. Are you insane, kid? There's no way you can beat a member of CP0 alone? Screw what you think. Bakugo shouted in rage at Kid with a look of anger and desperation on him. You think I don't know that he's out of my league? I knew the second I was pulled away that I didn't have a good chance against him. But even knowing that, he's still mine. Kid was about to say something, but Killer stopped him. He's not doing this for anyone but himself. He's doing this for the pride he lost and to keep from losing more than he should. To think I'd be put in this state. How can I call myself your rival if I can't even beat some wannabe swordsman? Let's get one thing straight, circus freak. I'm your opponent. Not these guys. Bakugo cracked his neck before putting his hands behind with his explosions beginning to activate. So get ready to have that SUPID neck of yours snapped. Bakugo launched at Kaku with the giraffe man blocking it with his blades and smiling. You're even dumber than I thought. Taking me on without help that's offered. He raised one of the blades up to slice down at the ash blonde who used shave to avoid it. This did little as Kaku's neck turned to hit Bakugo in the stomach and knock him into a wall. You're pathetic. To think we had to waste our time on the likes of you is ridiculous. Bakugo pulled himself out of the wall and barely stood on his legs from the pain he was feeling. Deku. I won't lose again. I refuse. Memories of Izuku and him in the past flooded to Bakugo's head as he witnessed every match him and Izuku had. Each one progressively got more intense as they grew up, with the first few being obvious to the ash blonde at a young age. The talent he was born with will never beat Izuku's commitment and training. Because of this, the ash blonde himself decided to look into what he could do to get stronger. Even if it was a little, Bakugo didn't want to be weak and dedicated himself to prove he's just as capable as Izuku. However, time and time again, that gap began to widen, and with the most recent fight with the Kid Pirates, that gap was proved to be more than just a margin. In his mind, this fight was a point to prove to Bakugo that this wasn't the farthest he could go. 2 With Ochako. As her battle with Piro continued, Ochako tried her best to find out where exactly the Cypher Pole member was, with little to no avail. Due to the mist, the brunette couldn't make heads or tails of where or when exactly the blade will come at her. This resulted in her regularly getting cut up and unable to stand much longer. Face it, child, you have no chance of beating me. If you were Izuku Midoriya, then perhaps you could do the impossible and stop me. Seeing a version of Piro in front of her, Ochako tried to punch him only to have her hand caught and have it be broken by the force of the Cypher Pole member's grip. 2. She fell to the ground, where she obtained a kick to the stomach before being sent head first into a dumpster that was near her. You lack strength. You lack skill. The only thing that you have that is yours is that quirk and useless devil fruit of yours. You could never hope to defeat someone like me. You're too soft. Piro threw his circle blade for it to impale in Ochako's shoulder and keep her on the dumpster. Face it, child, you're nothing without your friends. Hearing this said, the brunette realized he wasn't far off. Whenever she was little and had troubles with a bully, Izuku and Itsuka would help her. Whenever she had troubles fighting someone now, she relied on others. She hated to admit it, but the Cypher Pole member had a point. Ochako truly did lack the strength to do anything for herself when the house caves in. Some member I am. I can't even beat one person. Do you despise being weak? Ochako stopped for a second to remember words Hancock gave her. Weakness is normal for human beings. However, the true shame in being a weakling is doing nothing to accommodate for that weakness. Now tell me, Ochako Uraraka, will you remain weak and accept it, or will you be strong enough to stand on your own 2 feet? I can't die. Not here. Ochako pulled the blade out of her shoulder with blood now coming down her face from the impact prior. Her head was throbbing in pain from not being in top condition before this to glare down at Piro. I don't care if I have to die to do this. I'm going to prove that I'm worthy of standing on that pedestal with them no matter what. Her vision started to blur from pain with her mental focus pushing to stay awake. Stay awake, damn it. This is for you. Your chance to win starts here. Let nothing stand in your way. As she did this, strange auras presented themselves to Ochako. What the? In total, there were two. One was a few feet away that looked like Piro and the other looked like a woman's from far up looking as if she was standing on something. From what she knew of observation hockey, Ochako smiled. Found you. Calming her mind, Ochako remembered the second technique she developed during her time training under Hancock. Calm your mind and see the nerve ending that tells you about pain. When you see it, block it. When she did this, all the pain the brunette was feeling was no longer present to glare down Piro. Mind fruit. Third gear. She charged at Piro after this for him to send 2 ring blades at her. 1. No matter where you run to, these blades will slice you. Both blades came close to Ochako with them looking as if they were going to hit her neck. And they're ready to slice your neck. In the last moment, Ochako ducked under the blades for them to collide with one another and get dropped to the floor. What? Avoiding a punch from Ochako, Piro tried to attack her again to land a hit on her left forearm. This did next to nothing to stop her for some reason as Ochako kept trudging through and nearly punched Piro in the face. He escaped from her not understanding what was happening. I don't understand. If she was this durable, why didn't she show it sooner? Ochako kept running after Piro with her own knowledge of her technique coming to her head. Third gear isn't anything like second in the slightest. Where in second I increase my blood flow for a short period of time with my mind, third temporarily severs all natural limits I would have because of pain. In this form, I can't feel anything, not an attack by you or any lingering pains. The problem with this is, I only have 2 minutes I can do this and all that pain comes rushing back to my head all at once. I haven't used it in the caliber I'm in yet, Izuku. I'm scared, but I know I don't have any other choice. Piro. Ochako shouted for the Cypher Pole member to stare at her. He quickly sent 2 more attacks to her for Ochako to see them with her newly discovered observation hockey. She jumped up high with her quirk active. Thanks to a strange burst of wind though, the fog made by him was diluted to have his mirage unable to be made. This is the end, with this. I win. She pulled her arm back and socked Piro right in the face. Numb pistol. The attack shattered the bones in Ochako's hands as Piro fell back with some teeth coming out of his mouth. Due to the injury, the area cleared of all the mist to show the outside world again. Deku. I won. With Bakugo started making explosions to increase his speed while remembering something Smoker taught him. In the 6 powers, there is a secret technique that only a select few can learn. This is a power that differentiates certain people from others. If you were to master this skill, then that would mean you could take yourself to the next level. 1. You tried tricks like these before, they don't work. Kaku tried to slash at Bakugo with him using Shave to avoid and come at a different area. The Giraffe Man attacked once again in the area he reappeared in for Bakugo to use Shave at the last second again. From what it looked on the outside, all Bakugo was doing was trying to tire Kaku out. Whatever you're planning won't work. You're gonna lose to me whether you like it or not. Bakugo appeared behind Kaku with his palms glowing and his hands gripped together as if his fists were connected by the underside. Now that I have enough sweat, it's time to unveil a new technique. Deku. I wanted to use this on you first to keep pushing you. But I guess this is gonna have to be when I unveil it. Goodbye fake swordsman. 16 Howitzer impact. One seeing the immediate danger, Kaku used armament hockey and iron body to try and protect himself as Bakugo was directly at his face. A massive blast came that sent both flying across the area and into the walls. Seeing both impaled, Kid looked over to Kaku to see if he was down yet. I don't get it. The data said you couldn't use the secret technique. He passed out after saying this for Bakugo to stand tall. You'll never get the data you need on someone if you rely solely on word of mouth. Go fuck yourself. Zoo pet. Bakugo fell face first on the floor, unable to move anymore. One with Ochako Piro stood up with his jaw clearly broken and missing a few teeth. "Ah! You stupid brat. To think our data on you was this far off is insulting to the Marines as a whole." Seeing Ochako unable to move anymore and unconscious, Piro picked up one of his ring blades and gave an irritated sigh. "I despise going the cowardly way, but I have no choice in this. I'm not returning to headquarters without your head as proof I didn't get beaten up by a child." He moved with intentions to slice down the brunette's neck. "Goodbye, miss." Before he could get close, a woman came to kick him out of the way and into a wall. "To think you'd be willing to win a coward's way is disgusting, knowing you're part of the world government." Looking at the woman, Piro could barely see anything but the blonde hair and draconic features of one of the warlords, Dragon, Hero, Ryukyu. "Do not get confused. You lost to this woman and her determination. I had simply helped her finish the job." The pro's leg was pitch black to show her kick was backed with high levels of armament hockey to cause more damage before reverting back to normal. Piro was knocked out soon after, with Ryukyu going to treat Ochako. Coming from a distance, Fluffy charged as fast as he could to see his master unconscious and panicking. "Do not worry, little Lapon. I'm a doctor, so I know what I'm doing." Ryukyu pulled a medical kit she had on her side and began immediately stopping the bleeding before going to disinfect and wrap the wounds. Glancing up at Ochako's face, a notable smile was on her to make the dragon hero smile as well. "You truly have one hell of a crew, Izuku Midoriya. I wonder what the future will hold for you and them." With Izuku, 6 King Gun. Izuku was sent back by Lucci's attack through the building looking as if he was stained red with his own blood. He tried to get up before being grabbed by the Cypher Pole's member's tail and slammed into another wall to disorient him. "You worthless." Lucci slammed Izuku face first into the ground. "Pathetic." He picked him up again to repeat the process. "Pile of." He held Izuku up facing him before putting his hands in front of his face to release another round of attacks. "Garbage." He shot several of the attack prior for Izuku to be unable to block them before being thrown to the side. "To think someone like you was able to injure me the way you did is disgraceful." Lucci held his side where a notable cut through his side that most likely cut into a vital organ was seen. "I was going to bring you in alive to help prove you as an example to this world, but it seems you've made that impossible." "I can't move." On the inside of Izuku's body, he had several bones broken with a few ribs cracked as well as his skull being cracked. "I'm dead if I don't do anything though." Struggling to stand, Lucci was about to give the finishing blow but stopped when he heard footsteps. "Who's there?" "It appears you are in quite a predicament." Hawkeye came near the two with watching no longer being fine for him anymore. Lucci felt a chill down his spine as he noticed the voice and go pale. Hawkeye Mihawk. "Half an hour ago, third-person POV. One expecting the worst scenario with how Akainu left, the hero board began talking amongst themselves. He's not the type to let something like this go. But how should we handle this? If we do only pros to protect the green demons, then that would immediately cause a rift in the unstable ordeal. The board kept thinking of this before getting an idea. What if it wasn't pros, but pirates that did this? As a safety precaution, we could also have one of the warlord pros at the meeting assist as well in case none want to help. That could work, but who do we ask for assistance? The board opened their files on pirates to pull up 4 names. Hawkeye seems to have quite an interest in this group from what we've gathered. He would be a good person to have assist. The Straw Hats also have a connection with their captain. They could assist. So far, we haven't had any trouble with the hard pirates. I'm almost certain they would help as well as they are stationed near the meeting due to it not being out of the way for them. The last name was shown with the person who pulled it explaining the logic. If we are to trust the kid pirates, perhaps this could be a deciding factor for them. From what I've gathered, they also have some connection to the green demons to have a form of mutual respect for them. The group agreed with the picks to pick up a transponder snail and connect to all 4 of the groups as well as a pro from the warlords. This is a request from the Hero Board of Japan. As of today at XX hours, the Green Demon Pirates had struck a celestial dragon. Due to events transpiring prior, the Hero Board requested not to punish them. However, there is fear that Fleet Admiral Akainu will attempt something. As such, we request all of your assistance helping the group and avoid any more threat to our treaty with the Marines. If you accept, please go to the meeting area of the World Summit this year. The people listening in began making a judgment call, with them all agreeing that this was arguably going to end badly no matter how you slice it. With that, they began their journey towards the meeting and act as backup in case of something happening. Meanwhile, Hawkeye couldn't help but smirk at his son's ordeals. So you've proven yourself strong enough to stand against a celestial dragon. I wonder what will happen next. Back to present with the group on the maiden. Cannon fire kept coming at the group, with Kaminari being connected to a bunch of plugs. Is this safe? Hatsume laughed while typing away at her keyboard. Would you rather sink on this ship while being fired at? The conflict between the two was somewhat difficult for the blonde to choose before feeling extreme electrical charges being forced out of him. By the way, you might feel a bit of a tingle. Could have helped if you told me this sooner. We're ready down here. Start firing when you have a clear shot. Hatsume shouted for Momo to aim at the nearest marine ship. Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. This is for trying to hurt Ochako before, pricks. Momo fired at the ship, with it hitting the side and making a huge hole in the side hull. The ship started to sink with a smirk being on her face. Now who else wants some? Is she a little too hyped for this? Hato asked, with Sue hopping on another cannon. 2. Let's focus on this when we're not under fire by a bunch of ships. A cannonball came flying right by Jiru and hit the side railing of the ship for her to cower in fear from nearly having her head taken off. I'm too young to die. Shut up and return fire. Unless we take them down, we go down, Momo mentioned while hitting another ship. Focus fire on the closer ones. Imajiki, Tagada, Perona, Todoroki. Load us up on firepower. Kyoka, Hato. Get a cannon like Sue and fire where I fire. The group did as she asked for them to target and take down a few more ships. However, another cannon caused some hull damage near Momo for her to be knocked back. Yao Momo. You okay? Focus on getting the Marines. We all die if they sink us. As they spoke, another ship came to send cannonballs to take down the Marines. Upon further inspection, the group noticed the ship was the Thousand Sunny. It came in front of them with Luffy hopping on the ship. Everyone okay? Yeah, but we gotta wait for our friends. They're still on shore. The group spoke to the rubber man, with 4 people joining them with their crew beside or on their shoulders in Ochako's case. Permission to come aboard? Law asked while Tagada put a board out for them to hop on. Seeing the group come back, Momo ran over to see everyone but Izuku with them. Where's Izuku? Bakugo turned away while answering. We got separated. I don't know where he is. He's fighting another member of CP0 from what I can tell. The battle isn't going in his favor, however. Ryukyu points out with her eyes closed. We gotta help him then. Luffy was about to head out, but was caught by the dragon hero pulling his arm as he kept stretching about a few feet. He has someone there to help. However, I think he has other plans from what I know of that man. With Izuku, Hawkeye stood firmly to the side of both Lucci and Izuku, not making any significant movements. Just what is the likes of you doing here? Just simply watching as an onlooker. However, the swordsman stared at Izuku before speaking up. What the hell do you think you are doing? Izuku and Lucci looked at Hawkeye with surprise. If you truly think you will become the next world's greatest swordsman and surpass me, then why are you failing to defeat a fool such as this? Lucci was enraged to begin walking towards Hawkeye. Don't overestimate yourself, Mihawk. You're not exactly free from the... A slice came from Kogatana to graze his cheek and cut down a building nearby. 1. Perhaps you should not overestimate yourself. Also, I was not talking to you. Hawkeye placed his small blade back in its holster before returning to speak to Izuku. Aren't you the least bit ashamed to lose to this man? He is no swordsman. He is no noble warrior, so why the hell are you accepting defeat from him? Izuku struggled to stand up as Hawkeye kept yelling at him. You are the captain of the Green Demon Pirates as well as the man who proclaimed he will defeat me to claim my title. How dare you lose to him? A captain should stand tall and face the worst of the threat in front of them as a way to show his strength to his crew. A swordsman to surpass me has no right to lose to anyone no matter the cost. Stand and fight. Fight as the man you wish to be. In a fit of anger over himself taking this defeat willingly, Izuku grabbed both Kandaina and Shujitsuna and stood up with blood still dripping off his body. So, you want to keep going, huh? Well, I'm not against finishing this job once and for all. Before starting, Izuku took both his fists to punch himself in the head. I'm sorry I had to show you that ugly side of me, Hawkeye. But thank you for getting me out of that slump. With blood coming down his blades, Izuku used Muramasa's curse to light it on fire and coat the blades in Haki. Now, let's go. Izuku charged at Lucci to give a right forward slash. The leopard man dodged this before having Muramasa be lodged into his side and cause a deep burn. You damned brat. 6 King Gun. The blast slid Izuku back, but he recovered and pushed forward while holding Chujitsune and Kandaina across his body. Cross. Slice. Lucci braced the attack with Haki before having a knee to the jaw come with Izuku twirling his body around as he lunged at the Cypher Pole member. Strike of the Vengeful Tiger. This caused 3 cuts to come on Lucci's forearm through his Haki and be lit on fire. In retaliation, Izuku was kicked through the side of a building and into the other side. You pathetic little brat. You think I'm going to allow you to win this fight? You have 0 chance of defeating me. None. You're facing Cypher Pole 0. We are the ultimate members of the Marines. What are you to us but a common cockroach that is trying to be too large for what you truly are? You hear me? You're nothing but an insect to me. Standing up and visibly rattled by the attack, Izuku started to sway side to side. An insect you say? Hee. He started laughing as a strange radiation of dark energy came off him mixed with OFA. I take that as a compliment. The fact I was able to get so under your skin means that this insect is more dangerous to you than you'd expect. Now prepare for the venom of this bug you think is so beneath you to bear its fangs. Lucci began seeing 3 different heads on Izuku with 6 arms form, all holding blades with their eyes looking as if the green-haired swordsman was barely conscious. 6. Secret technique. 9 blades of hell. Izuku stormed towards Lucci while using his first right hand to slice. Limbo. Lucci dodged it with his first left coming next upward to graze the leopard man's chest. Lust. His right head came next to slash at Lucci's collarbone and cause a notable slash. Gluttony. The next attack came from his second left arm came from above down Lucci's chest with it going on a diagonal slash. Greed. His right second arm came next upwards from the knee up, slowing down Lucci's movements. Anger. His left head gave the next slash across Lucci's stomach. Heresy. His final right arm came next with it slicing upwards in a diagonal line. Violence. Izuku's final left arm came from the shoulder down to the kneecap in a downward slash next. Fraud. In the last moment, Lucci tried to reclaim his footing while giving a final attack. I refuse to lose here. 6 King. He was stopped as Izuku sent his last blade directly through his chest and appear from the other side. Treachery. The blade ignited with Lucci being set ablaze and causing searing pain to him. Placing Chujitsune and Kandaina in their sheaths, Izuku held his right fist back with OFA activated in it while holding Muramasa with his left. This is the end, Rob Lucci. No matter where you end up, understand that the Green Demon will never lose to the likes of you. Also, tell Akainu that he ever tries a stunt like this again, I won't show mercy to those he sends at me or my crew. Detroit. Izuku slammed his fist in Lucci's face to send him flying out into the distance with Muramasa being pulled out by the force of the hit. Smash. One with the crew as the members of the Green Demons returned to the ship and were explaining what happened. Shiizaki looked up to see something coming near them. I do not want to worry anyone, but there is some kind of large cat coming near us that is on fire. The group looked up to see the large cat as Shiizaki described, flew past everyone and hit one of the marine ships with the crew immediately trying to put out the fire with them only able to smolder on their own and notice who it was that crashed into them. Rob Lucci. Lucci was unable to move with his voice cracking while trying to give an order. Tell. Aka Inu. The mission. Is. A fail. He passed out after this with everyone of the marine crew panicking. Who could do something like this? How can one of the most powerful members of Cypher Pole be beaten and put in a state like this? Whoever did this has to be a demon. As the Marines struggled to help their ally, the ships of both the Kid Pirates and the Heart Pirates made their showing to force the Marines to have a full retreat. Bunch of fucking cowards they are. Bakugo spoke while watching the Marines run. You pussies got the balls to attack us when you outnumber us, but the second we get back on an even playing field you turn tail and run. Only pussies run from a fight if they're on even levels. Yeah. Come back and face us if you're men, Perona shouted while some of her hollows began looking as if they were flipping off the Marines as she gave them the double bird as well. 3. And yet you were one of the few that were panicking the most during this whole thing. Momo thought to herself as the sudden surge of confidence came from the ghost woman. Turning to see a figure approaching the ship, Ryukyu noticed Hawkeye come towards the maiden with Izuku in his arms bleeding heavily. If any of you could help, this man needs medical assistance. Ryukyu, Chopper and Law hopped off the ships to help Izuku. Upon seeing him in the state, they confirmed that Izuku had several broken bones, was bleeding extremely from the injuries he sustained as well as having several internal organs damaged in some way to know his fight wasn't going to be over until they can stabilize him. Though even if he was beaten and bloodied, a smile was on Izuku's face. One that showed pride in himself. Where do you want to take him? Ryukyu asked with Law pointing towards his ship. He needs a large amount of medical attention. My ship can manage that with the equipment on it. Have Beppo show you the way. Ryukyu went towards the submarine with Chopper beside her in hopes to avoid jostling Izuku too much. As they tried to work on him, Hawkeye smirked while seeing the damage done to Izuku's crew. Ochako was unconscious from her fight with Pyro. Bakugo had several bandages over him with his hands in casts but still conscious. Itsuka sat against a side of the ship with her chest still hurting from the broken rib as well as her stomach from the blows she suffered. Shiizaki, though not in at all the worst shape she could be in, felt more ashamed of herself forcing herself to leave this ship. To her, the treachery she had to Izuku and the rest of her former crewmates was horrid. All she wanted to do now was make amends with Izuku for what she did. When he wakes, I'm going to apologize. Even if he doesn't allow me back, I will make peace with my former captain. Izuku Pav. I started to wake up with my entire body throbbing in pain. What the hell hap? Oh yeah. I got attacked by some leopard freak. Slowly moving, I noticed Ochako, Momo, Itsuka and Sue in the room asleep. From what it looked, Ochako had a lot of injuries with Itsuka having a few herself. At least they're okay. I got up and began heading out to the outside with a bit of struggle. I began opening the door to see Shiizaki sitting in front of the door asleep. Hey. I tapped her a bit for her to slowly wake up. You're gonna get sick if you stay here and sleep. I started moving to the deck with some trouble before almost falling. I have you. Shiizaki caught me and moved me to sit on the ship's bow. I thought you left the crew. Why are you still on my ship? She turned away a bit looking as if she felt some shame. Look. You have no obligation to finish this assignment as a former member of my crew. We can remain here for the summit meeting ourselves. The longer you stay with us, the more you're going to be connected to the people who attacked Celestial Drag. I want to apologize. Shiizaki cut me off to be on her hands and knees placing her head on the ship's deck. I am truly and humbly sorry for what I have done. What I did was inexcusable. I let my own selfishness put the entire crew in jeopardy. If I didn't leave, perhaps you and Uraraka wouldn't have gotten hurt nearly as bad as you had. So from the bottom of my heart, I am sincerely sorry and want to take back what I said. Sigh. Want to share a drink with me? I do not think Dr. Chopper or anyone would. If you want my forgiveness, share a drink with me and tell me why you thought it was important to leave and say what you did. Understanding what I meant, she went to get a few beers for us as she began her story. She explained everything from the slave crest she bared, the time she spent as a slave, the Revolutionary Army, even what she said to CP0 during the incident. As I let this sink in, I finished a beer I was drinking to stand up and look at the sea. So, you were a slave to the world nobles and that's why you're so afraid of them. I have no right to justify what I had done or said. It was wrong and I am truly sorry about it. If you wish for me to do anything else to atone for the sins I have committed against this crew, I will gladly do it. I thought for a second before getting an idea. Come with me. I began heading towards the lower decks to an area Hatsume had specifically for me and Itsuka in case we ever were unable to salvage our blades. A while back, I asked Hatsume to make us a forge. One of the things I had made while here is something I plan to use as a branding tool for areas as a form of protection. Who would have thought this might be the first thing I use this for? I grabbed a metal rod with an emblem of our Jolly Roger on it and heated it in hot coals. What I am going to offer is something rather extreme, but it will be for your own benefit if you do. Lift up your shirt so your slave crest is shown. She did as I asked before I continued. If you are truly sincere about what you say, I will completely forgive you and pretend that all you said never happened if you place this mark over your slave crest. If you do this, it will not only redeem you in my eyes, but free you of that mark. Nobody will know you were or ever have been a slave. This though will also damn you to forever be part of my crew. I won't tell you to do one or the other since this is your decision. Be shackled by the people who shackled you before, or be shackled by myself and the crew you see on this ship. 3. She glanced down at her crest as well as the crest in the fire. I could tell this was a difficult decision for her. For years, I've felt nothing but shame on this crest. There have been times I believed life would be better if I had died, but no matter how hard I proved that I am not a slave, my past keeps coming back to haunt or shame me. Not anymore though. She took the grip and aimed the heated metal over her slave crest. With this path I chose myself. She slammed it on her skin for Shiizaki to grit her teeth in pain while staring directly in my eyes. I will brace the hells you and the rest of the green demon's face. Shiizaki placed the metal to the side before falling to her knees in pain. I'm sorry you had to hold this pain. It is not your fault. I chose to keep it in. Of my own free will. I tried to help her the best I could out of the forge and towards a bed while also grabbing some first aid medicine to help her avoid infection or anything that could cause more damage to her skin. While she laid on the bed, Shiizaki decided to ask me a question. If I had not done what I did, would you still have accepted me back into the crew? Yes. You showed sincerity by bowing your head and wishing to take back your actions. The branding was to help you. You were never going to be free so long as you were cursed with that crest. So what if you had a new one? One that you willingly stood by. She seemed really happy about this for me to head back to my quarters and let her rest off the pain. Ryukyu Pav. Overhearing what I had, I understood that Green Demon truly cares for his crew and wishes for the best for all of them. Seems this crew is worth something. Perhaps I will accept Najire's offer and join him to become this ship's doctor. Heaven knows that some of them would benefit greatly from that. I walked towards where I was resting with a smile on my face. Few days later, third-person Pav. After the 4-day World Summit meeting finished, the nobles of the kingdoms began heading out with the celestial dragons being the first of the group to begin their exit. Upon this, one celestial dragon out of the lot came in front of the Green Demon crew and glared at Shiizaki. You are that one child that had been part of my doll collection. I demand that you return to Mary Joieuse at once. I apologize, but I am not who you think you are. During the few days, Shiizaki had cut her hair so it would only come to her shoulders while also holding a bit more of an opinion instead of keeping to herself. How dare you disobey your master? You are my property, so therefore you must do as I. Take a good look. Shiizaki lifted her shirt up to reveal the Green Demon emblem burned into her skin. As you can see, there is nothing on me that ties me to you. You're free to keep searching my body, but you'll never find it. Why you covered my crest? How dare you? The celestial dragon began shouting in anger. He pulled a gun with the crew prepared to retaliate if he did. However, a man came to hit the celestial dragon out of the way in irritation. Are you insane? Pulling a gun here was what caused chaos to reign the first day. The man's sudden outburst surprised everyone, especially when it was revealed he was also a world noble. 8. My sincerest apologies, Green Demons. I am well aware that you had not started this and I harbor no grudge for today nor the first day. We as the celestial dragons had been asked to remain calm during this event, however some were not as forthcoming as we would like to believe. As such, I hope that you will forgive us for these outbursts. The world noble knelt to the ground and bowed his head as a form of forgiveness for even Shiizaki to be shocked. So long as nobody is hurt, there isn't a problem. What is your name, sir? Izuku asked somewhat interested. My name is Saint Don Quixote Miasgard. Thanks to seeing what the world sees of us early in my life, I had realized we as the celestial dragons have become arrogant as I could say in the best terms. Miasgard pointed at Shiizaki after pointing this out. Crew member of the Green Demon. I cannot determine if you are a slave or not, but I would kindly ask you to cover your stomach. It is unsightly for a lady to walk around showing themselves as that and just as insulting for those that are with them. My apologies. Shiizaki placed her shirt down for the celestial dragon to head out with his cohorts who weren't at all pleased with how they were leaving. Well, that seemed to go better than any of us planned. Izuku let the boards down when he noticed his group of nobles he was sworn to protect coming on the ship. Once all were aboard, They set sail towards the harbor where they would be escorted back to their homes by the Marines. Few hours later, Izuku Pav. After finishing the job, me and the crew decided to take the time to relax a little and think of our next course of action. So, what's next on the agenda? Kaminari asked for Itsuka to look at her naginata that was forged not that long ago broken. First things first, we need to get Itsuka a new weapon. While we're doing that, one for you should also be on our priority list. Momo pointed out for me to pull Kandine out and see its blade completely severed. From what I was told, the fight with Lucci was more difficult than I planned, with my carelessness in the end costing me one of my blades. It made me kinda sad since I worked so hard to reforge both of my blades for one to shatter. Yeah. I hate to admit it, but reforging Kandine is out of the question. Then perhaps I can assist you in both. We all looked to where the voice was coming from to see Ryukyu landing on the ship after transforming back into her human form from her dragon. To the north of here, there is legend of a cursed blade in a temple. The blade has taken the lives of several who dared to try and master it, soaking the blade in the blood of several swordsmen. Rumor has it, the metal it was forged from holds the soul of a demon. A cursed sword, huh? I pulled out Muramasa and smirked a little. I like the sound of that. What's this sword's name? Masamune. The blade of 1,000 deaths. If you have a blade of Muramasa, perhaps this sword is worth looking into. 2. Well, if we're talking about great swords, then I guess taking this sword and adding it to my arsenal is more than necessary. I started laughing a bit seeing that I've now got a new assignment for myself. While we're on the topic of sacred blades, the naginata I have mentioned is in the mountains near Mount Fuji. It's a legendary blade that is said to hold the power of the wind deity it was so valiantly named after. Fujin. The god of the wind. You've got my interests. Itsuka was somewhat interested while Ryukyu continued. Fujin was a blade made long ago that was made as a way to honor the god of wind himself. As such, the deity had come down to the creator and blessed him with his own power. Legend has it that the blade itself was able to create wind slashes that were able to cut something 100 meters away. However, none of the people who have discovered the blade have been able to pull it out of its resting place. 4. So the blade is waiting for someone to pull it out. Sounds like a blade I'd be into. Itsuka smirked with Hado walking up towards the dragon hero. So Ryukyu, did you think of what I asked you? Hado asked her to do something? Ryukyu smiled while nodding. Izuku Midoriya. I glanced at the dragon hero as she walked over. She knelt down in front of me before pulling out a sake bottle and 2 cups. It has come to my knowledge that you are in need of a doctor. As such, it would be my honor to join your crew. I smirked at hearing this, knowing I wanted to add her to the crew since the start of our search. Consider it done. Ryukyu started pouring sake in both the cups before holding hers up. This is an age-old tradition among pirates. By sharing cups of sake together, we are officially deemed family from this day forth. As such, your griefs and troubles become my griefs and troubles. Your battles become my battles. And your rise and fall defines my rise and fall. 1. Yeah, not that big on fancy smancy stuff, but I'm not gonna turn down some sake. We tapped our cups together before drinking the alcohol inside it. Dang, that's good. I gotta get your supplier for this. It is quite a delectable brand. However, we should focus on the tasks at hand. I nodded before hopping to my feet. If you give me the directions to the temple, I'll get the sword while you lead Itsuka to the naginata. Done. I do advise getting another member or 2 to join you. Fair enough. Sue. You and Todoroki are coming with me to get Masamune. Juru. You're going with Itsuka and Ryukyu. The rest of you inform Mr. Aizawa what's happening and that if all goes well, we'll be back by sundown. Ryukyu gave me the directions with our crew splitting ways temporarily to complete what we sought out to do. At Marine HQ, third-person POV. So the boy was able to defeat Rob Lucci. That's not an easy feat. An old man with a long beard states with 4 others that were up there in years. If he becomes a problem, we may have to send an admiral or 2 after him. I also heard that he's on mutual terms with both the Heart Pirates, Kid Pirates, Straw Hat Pirates as well as Hawkeye Mihawk. If those lot get involved, we could have an all-out war. Should we abolish him as a warlord? Are you insane? If we were, that would make it fact that we are deeming him an enemy and may actually look into making a declaration of war. We can't look over his treatment of a celestial dragon, however. The five kept discussing among themselves before one that was bald holding a blade came up with an idea. For now, we'll have to treat him as a possible enemy in the future. We'll increase bounties of him and his crew as well as give a starting point for those that don't. If we pull the warlord status, that could give reason for him to start attacking the marine ships as well as the hero board, thinking he has merit to do so. Akainu heard this and was floored that they were allowing Izuku a get-out-of-jail free pass basically. 8. The boy's bounty should be at least 300 million. If he's able to defeat Rob Lucci, he has enough to easily rival most pirates who have that bounty or higher. Perhaps, Fleet Admiral, however, he is also young and going so high on someone his age may be deemed overkill by most. He should at least be above 100 million if we are honest here. A man with a beard that held a scar on one side of his face pointed out for the entire room to agree. Meanwhile, Akainu seemed to be far more angered before lighting a cigar and thinking to himself. If things weren't important for you to hold this title, I would have your head Izuku Midoriya. Yours and your crew's. Meanwhile, Ochako Pav. I started to wake up and start moving out of the room to see Fluffy try to pull me back to the bed. You shouldn't be up. You're still really hurt and the crew hasn't found a recovery girl to help you yet. As I read his mind, I picked up the lapon and walked out the door. There, I noticed Momo talking with Hatsume and plotting a course. What's going on? Seeing me, Momo walked up and tried to motion me back in bed. You shouldn't be up and moving so much. A lot of damage was done on your shoulder. Wait, where's Izuku? Out. Bakugo spoke while sitting above us on a ledge. Icy Hot and Frog Girl went to get a new sword for him at some temple. Apparently, his one broke while fighting that leopard bastard. He was told of a cursed blade in a temple nearby by the dragon hero Ryukyu. Kinda her way of paying for being part of the crew. Itsuka had also left with Jiru and Ryukyu to get herself a new naginata from a mountain near Mount Fuji. I'm currently plotting our course for Ua so that we can help you in Bakugo. Momo pointed this out for the idiot above us to shout at her. I don't need fucking help. I killed that piece of shit giraffe impersonator. With the cost of shattering your hand. Perona came over and hit Bakugo where it hurt on him. Reality. I mean honestly, if you thought with half the brain power you should have, then you'd know that you're 2. If you finish that sentence, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, ghost girl. He immediately shouted for it to scare Perona to have her run and hide in fear. That's what I thought. Anyway. We've got this from here. Why don't you go and rest and we'll bring Recovery Girl to you. Knowing both Fluffy and Momo were accurate with what they wanted, I accepted this and went back to bed. Covering myself with covers, I started to think what Izuku's doing now. I wonder if he found the temple he needed to yet. I started to fall asleep with Fluffy hopping up to nuzzle next to me. With Izuku Pav. As we walked through a forest path, I started making a conversation with Sue and Todoroki. So Sue, I heard you were learning a little bit of fishman karate from Jinbei. How's it going for you so far? Really well actually. Thanks to my frog quirk, I'm able to use it almost as good as a fishman. That's amazing. Guess you and Itsuka are gonna be sparring partners next. I started to laugh a bit with Sue looking at her hands. It's just surprising in all honesty. All my life, I thought my froggy abilities are a drawback for me. But it turns out there's something that allows me to use a form of martial arts to its fullest. I smiled at this before wrapping my arm around her. I never thought your frog-like abilities were bad. I honestly thought they made you kinda cute if you ask me. Sue blushed at this before shooting her tongue out to pull my lips to hers. When she let go I pulled back a bit and smiled. You cute little frog girl, that was a bit of a dirty trick. So was calling my frog traits cute. I was gonna argue this, but realized it kinda was. Huh. Looks like all of us have bounties now. We looked at Todoroki who held his phone out. Green Demon Izuku. 120 million. Dragon Queen Ryukyu. 250 million. Battle Fist Kendo. 33 million. Human Bomb Bakugo. 38 million. Gravitational Uraraka. 30 million. Human Factory Yayorozu. 20 million. Frog Girl Asui. 15 million. No Touch Lumilian. 70 million. Chimera Sun Eater. 68 million. Energy Najire-chan. 56 million. Holy Vine Shiizaki. 50 million. Alive. Ghost Girl Perona. 10 million. Human Battery Kaminari. 10 million. Sound Girl Jiru. 10 million. Mechanic Hatsume. 10 million. Thermos Todoroki. 10 million. Meat-loving Fluffy. 56, huh. They even gave Fluffy a bounty. Weird that it's only 50 though. They probably thought he was just a pet or something. 2. Why does Shiizaki say alive? Sue asked, with the thought of her being a former slave being the reason why. She's also got one of the higher bounties. It's probably because she knows things we don't. These bounties tell the level of danger you pose in power or knowledge. I ignored this to keep walking towards the temple. Upon arrival, I noticed the temple had several Buddhists praying in front of a statue outside looking somewhat ashamed of something. Excuse me? One that looked like the head priest noticed me to greet us. Why hello. My name is Haji and I am the head Buddhist at this temple. How may I be of service to you? I was informed of a cursed blade in your possession and was wondering if there was a chance of possibly holding it as one of my weapons. I pulled out Kandina's sheath to open and reveal the broken blade. You see, I had recently been in a battle that had taken one of my blades because of my own lack of skill. If there is any chance I could hold the blade as my own, I would be honored. Ah, you are another who wishes to use the blade as your own. I would be happy to help you, but be warned of this. None who have sought the blade prior to you have lived to tell the tale. We had just finished praying for salvation for its most recent victim to bring the sword's death count to 100. The head Buddhist bowed his head while apologizing to me. I apologize, but if you value your life, leave this place now. Please. Save me. The sound of someone speaking in my mind was heard to confuse me. Take me with you. Let me be free. The voice spoke with it sounding like it came within the temple. You know, that doesn't work for me. If I die here, then so be it, but I'm pretty sure my luck will beat out the curse. The head Buddhist bit his lip before nodding. Very well. I will show you to Masamune, but only you. Your friends must stay out here. I glanced back at Sue and Todoroki, who nodded. I went close so only Todoroki could hear me before whispering in his ear. Something in my gut is telling me there's more happening here than we know. Just keep your head up and don't let your guard down. He nodded before I turned to face the head Buddhist. Haji, right? I'm ready. Right this way then, sir. He led me inside with him asking me to take my shoes off at the entrance as well as leave my blades with them since we were entering a place where violence was prohibited. I didn't find an issue to do as he said to agree. So can you tell me a little more about this sword? What made it cursed? This blade was deemed one of the smith Masamune's greatest and most damned blades of all. Before it was forged, the steel had come from a mining area that had been plagued with their grief. As such, the blade is destined to forever heal its owner. However, the blade must deem you its master for that. He deceives those he speaks to. Do not trust him. The voice came once again before the Buddhist opened the door and allowed me into an open room. Once I came in, I glanced around to see it was a rather spacious room with the blade on a stand at the other end. So tell me something, Haji. What are you afraid of? Excuse me. You've been shaking and silently praying while we've been walking. I walked towards the blade to stand in front of it. Is the curse you speak of with the blade true? I grabbed the blade before hearing the voice one final time. They are coming. Run away. I don't want my blade soaked with another bearer's blood. I won't die like the rest. You have my word, Masamune. I turned to the Buddhist to suggest the truth. Or is it for those that are about to come through those doors? Hearing this, the Buddhist fell to his hands and his knees in tears. Please, I never wished for any harm. I wanted you to leave this place the second you came. Who is making you do this? Haji looked at me with tears while answering. The beast pirates. Immediately after saying this, several people with horns on their heads smiling creepily came at me. Well, looky what we got here, boys. Some wannabe swordsman who thinks he can take our sword. I pulled a sash out of my pocket to wrap around the opening of the blade while the pirates began laughing at me. You think you're gonna beat us? Ha 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 ha. Gifters, attack. The pirates came at me to duck under one and knock him out by hitting his gut with Masamune's handle. I then threw him into a couple other before coating the blade's sheath with hockey and knocked two more out by hitting them in the face. I've got you now, brat. One of the pirates nearly hit me to force my body to jerk in the wrong direction and open up a wound from my fight with Lucci. Son of a. I held my stomach in pain with the pirates around taking advantage of this. Time to die, brat.
As they came close to me, I decided to grit my teeth and bear the pain. I held a stance with Masamune held by both my hands and cleared my mind.
One sword technique. In a flash, I went forward to take out one of the dozen remaining before using the wall to push myself off and attack another and repeat this process 12 times. 12 Apostles' Judgment. The pirates fell to the floor unconscious as I looked at Masamune with a smile. You're free now. You don't have to sully your blade with your master's blood anymore. Thank you. The blade seemed happy to hear this before I held my side and noticed I was bleeding. Master, unsheathe me and place my blade to your wound. I did as Masamune asked for the area touching my wound to light with blue flames and close the opening and heal the injury itself back to normal. That's Masamune's sacred flames, the flames of purification. If Masamune is held to its master's injury, it can heal them from even life-threatening injuries. Haji spoke up before holding his head down. Please sir. Forgive me. I had no desire to deceive or harm you. Kaido's disaster Jack the Drought had ordered us to soak the blood of Masamune's new masters in hopes to make a more useful curse that could plague those it touches. We had no choice but to follow him. Jack would have killed us all and destroyed this temple if we didn't obey. I take all responsibility for this, and if you wish for anyone's head, take mine and leave the rest of the temple be. One Eye stood up after hearing this and walked out of the room. Come with me. He did as I asked with something being realized by him. Swordsman. You were hurt before coming here. Why did you tie Masamune up with its sheath unable to come off? This is a holy place as you said. Violence is frowned upon here, so I restrained myself for that reason. I'm sorry I couldn't follow it to the letter though. Understanding I tried to stay by his word, the head Buddhist began crying knowing I was true to my word and avoided more violence than needed. Once we came out, Todoroki and Sue had a few other members of the Beast Pirates on the ground unconscious. The Marines are coming to pick up the Beast Pirates. Thank you, Todoroki. Now for what you all had done. The Buddhists held their breaths as I went towards the Torii gate. I used OFA to jump up and tie a replica of my flag on top of it. You all did what you did because you had no protection from the Beast Pirates. So from this day forward, this flag will give a warning to everyone that sees it that you are protected by the Green Demon Pirates. Not only that, but due to my warlord status, you are also protected by the Marines. As payment, I shall take Masamune as my own sword and the luxury of defeating Jack the Drought myself. If you have objections to this, then get out of this temple. The Buddhists realized what I was saying to immediately bow their heads in unison with tears in their eyes. Thank you, Captain of the Green Demons. The Marines soon came after this to hear the speech before taking the Beast Pirates present into custody. I jumped down short after and walked to the front of the temple with Haji following me. Sir, what are you doing? I slammed the sheath of Kandaina into the ground so it wouldn't go anywhere. I'm laying this dead sword to rest here. I think it's a fitting final resting place for it if you ask me. I paid my respects before walking back to the gate to see Sue and Todoroki ready to leave. Wait. Mr. Green Demon. I turned to the Buddhist head who seemed extremely uneasy. Why? You have no obligation to help us, but you took out the Beast Pirates who put themselves in this temple. Not only that, but you also freed us of future troubles. So why? I smiled before walking away and answering, because I thought it was the right thing to do. Hearing my answer, the head Buddhist bowed to me again thanking me for everything as me. Todoroki and Sue went back to Ua. During Izuku's journey, Itsuka Pav. As Jiru, Ryukyu and I had separated from the group, we decided to fly on the Dragon Hero as way to save some time. How much longer until we're near the mountain? Almost there. Just a few more minutes and we should be able to see the mountain where Fujin lays in sight. We continued flying calmly with Jiru looking up something on her phone. Holy crap. They just rose everyone's bounties. Wait. I thought if we had bounties, they'd be frozen if we were members of Izuku's crew since he's a warlord. They must have made an exception. Ryukyu theorized what was most likely the case. If Midoriya still holds the warlord status, that means that they most likely had done this as a way to increase the level of threat you all hold while simultaneously keeping the treaty between the Marines and the Japanese government intact. It's the only reasonable thing I can see out of it. I glanced at the bounties to see Bakugo was now ahead of me. Damn it. Not only do I fail beating that CP0 girl, but also I'm stuck behind the Pomeranian of all people. I felt a lot of anger seeing this for Juru to put her phone away. We're approaching the cave where the Naginata is. Brace for landing. Ryukyu landed on the ground for me and Juru to hop off her. As we looked around, I noticed the area was completely bare of all greenery. It looked almost as if someone doused all the greenery a few feet near the cave in weed killed to form a perfect circle. Whoa. This is unique. Ryukyu suggested to take the words out of our mouths. From what I am aware of, the unique wind pressure of Fujin forces the landscape to keep anything from growing in the ground. Even animals avoid this area. Ryukyu points out as a small animal came running near the circle to stop completely to go around the circle of barren land. The Naginata is ahead. We began walking in with the sounds in the cave completely quiet except for a breeze in the cave itself coming deeper inside. Is there an opening nearby? No. Ryukyu looked at the area uneasy before stopping us to show a giant hole in the cave from a center point. Someone was in here before us. The pro headed towards the hole to examine it. From what I can gather, this was fairly recent. Let's try and hurry up in here. Kendo. Grab the blade and leave. Right. I walked to the center of the area to see a small plaque near a rock holding the tip inside it. Wind is that which moves to speeds that shake the world. Those who would use me shall spin and twirl. However, those who cannot handle my speed with thunder, shall be mangled and torn asunder. The plaque seemed uneasy with the assumption that something more is going on with the blade in front of me. Okay. I don't know if this is true, but I think it'll be better if we just grab this and leave. Looking at the blade, it seemed well made from what I could see with the staff, for it made from a unique alloy. Well, here goes. I placed my hand on the staff part for nothing to happen. So was that just a warning to people to not whoosh? As I was thinking this, a strange gust of wind sent me across the cave to the solid stone. Kendo, Juru and Ryukyu came to make sure I was okay with my body rolling out of the rubble. TCH. What was that? I assume that goes with the legend of this blade being blessed by Fujin himself. I got up and cracked my back before getting back in front of the weapon. I wouldn't try that again. The likelihood of you succeeding the second time isn't that big. Still, I came here to get this Naginata. I'm not a fan of coming up empty-handed. Trying to think of a way to grip the weapon, I figured it might be over pressurized air, so I decided to go with armament hockey to pull it quickly out. Here goes. I gripped the handle and pulled as fast as I could with a similar gust of wind sending me back again. This time though, I covered my body in hockey to avoid hurting myself again. Coming out of the wall, I went back to the pedestal to decide breaking what it's on. Let's see about this. Right before I could make contact, the strange wind stopped me and sent me up to the ceiling before I fell back onto the ground. Ow. That one hurt. After this, I decided to try placing rags over my hands thinking this might be able to work. Yet again, it failed. I then tried gripping the podium with an enlarged hand before pulling the sword out. This ended with more wind being used to send me flying. Attempt after attempt, I kept trying to pull the Fujin out of its resting place with each event ending in failure after failure. 2 hours later, third-person POV. After several attempts and no success, Itsuka laid on the ground near Fujin panting for air. Pant asterisk what the hell. Now having enough of watching, Ryukyu began heading outside. Where are you going? Juru asked with the dragon hero pointing to the hole. I'm going to try and find out what made that. It seems too abnormally shaped to be natural. Juru agreed for Ryukyu to go out the hole before Itsuka got up to try again. I'm not giving up. Not yet. Ryukyu began moving the general direction she could tell whatever was sent away went. To save time, she decided to turn into her dragon form and fly in the direction. From what I can gather, what was thrown had to be massive. She continued to fly in the direction with some spots of broken trees catching her eye. The amount broken and where they cracked solidified her thesis. But what was this that was thrown? Ryukyu kept flying and followed the destruction to a giant mound of earth that was in front of her. The damage stops here, so whatever is underneath this is what was sent flying. She thought for a moment what the best course of action should be. I should uncover whatever it is. If it's a person, I should at least help them as a medical professional and hero. As she spoke, the mound of earth began shaking to break open and shoo a frightening ancient beast thought to be long extinct. Two with Itsuka and Juru. Itsuka was sent flying again by Fujin to hit a wall and lose the wind in her. She recovered slowly this time to be on her hands and knees, panting in pain. Kendo, you gotta stop. She ignored Jiru's concern to stand back up and hobble back to the blade. Look. I get you have your sights set on this naginata, but what weapon is worth having yourself beaten to death over? I'm not losing again, Izuku shouted in aggravation. Do you even understand how frustrating it is to work as hard as I do and be beaten by someone that was weaker than who everyone else fought and won against? The image of the sports festival came to Itsuka's mind. The fight at the sports festival with Izuku was an eye-opener on how vast our gaps are. She began seeing the hour-long battle next. I couldn't help Izuku who needed help during the fight with that fishman. Her thoughts went next to the incident with the celestial dragon. I couldn't help my friend when she needed me the most. Her final thought came to the fight she had with Stussy. I wasn't even strong enough to defend my classmate when she needed help the most without someone to save us. Do you even understand how frustrating it is to be someone who's been able to stand on the same field as Izuku and Bakugo for so many years to now feel as if you're unable to even do that? It's frustrating. Tears began coming down her cheeks saying this. It's frustrating and I hate it. So as long as I can breathe, I will not give up to make this blade mine. Itsuka grabbed a hold of the blade with wind circling around her again. Kendo. I don't care how many times you send me flying, nothing will make me give up. Do you understand? I'm not gonna give up. The wind slowly died down with it being near just a breeze. Believing she proved herself worthy of the blade's trust. Somewhat amazed by her speech, Jiru smiled at her friend before seeing a shadow. Kendo, get back. The hole in the wall had someone fly through and land in the other side of the cave wall. What was that? Jiru went to the being and see the dragon hero in the wall with the wind knocked out of her. Ryukyu. Damned woman. Those who get in my way deserve what they get. A guy with dirty blonde hair in braids with what looked like tusks on his clothing as decoration. Who the hell are you? Jiru and Itsuka prepared to fight with the man staring down at them. Out of the way, brats. That blade belongs to the beast pirates. Beast pirates. Itsuka looked a little closer at the man and remembered reading something about a pirate holding similar features. Jiru. This guy's one of Kaido's 3 disasters. Jack the Drought. You know who I am, then you know well enough that fighting me is not worth it. Walk away now and you can live. Not gonna happen. Jack stood there silently with a vein bulging in his head. Jiru. Help Ryukyu. I'll hold him off while you do. Before she could finish, Jack smacked the Oxcord quirk user into a wall to shock everyone how quickly this happened. Jiru. Not wasting effort, Jack next attacked Itsuka for her to increase the size of her fist and use Fishman Karate. 500 brick fist. The attack looked as if it tied with Jack's to somewhat irritate him. This is irritating. Jack spoke with using Haki in his right fist with Itsuka doing the same. This failed however with her being thrown into the wall. Now that the weaklings are gone, I can return to what I've come here for. The naginata blessed by the wind deity, Fujin. Jack went to grab the blade with a large level of wind produced by it and sending him back to a wall. You still refuse to come willingly? Fine. Jack transformed into a mammoth and was about to crush the entire cave. If I can't have you, nobody will. Before he could start, Ryukyu grabbed the giant monster to try and hold him down. Kendo. Jiru. Get out of here now. What about you? This monster won't go down so easily, I need to hold him back so you two can escape. We're not leaving you. Jiru immediately objected to this with Jack knocking Ryukyu to a wall before she pushed his head down into the ground. We don't have a lot of options, I'll get back to Ua when I can. Itsuka heard this to be extremely enraged that this was even an option. Kendo, we gotta leave. I'm not leaving. Just forget the weapon and. This has nothing to do with Funin. This is a matter of pride. Flashback 15 years ago. Granny. Granny. Itsuka came running to her grandmother while looking at some of her things. Look what I found. Oh my. Where did you find that? I found it upstairs in a chest. What is it? The old woman grabbed the flag and folded it in a respectable manner. It's the pirate flag of the Whitebeard Pirates. Have you ever heard of the man named Edward Newgate? Itsuka shook her head no for her grandmother to laugh and sit to put Itsuka on her lap. Edward Newgate, or Whitebeard as he was more known as, was the strongest man in the world. Nobody could beat him in a one-on-one. He was so powerful, he was able to face off and go toe-to-toe with a man called Gold Roger.
The king of the pirates. Yes, Whitebeard and Roger, though rivals, respected one another.
This is also why when he was around, he had the title of an Emperor of the Sea. But Whitebeard didn't rise alone. He had the help of his trusted sons and daughters of his crew. To him, it didn't matter if you had a checkered past, were weak, strong or anything in between. Whitebeard saw you as his family and would never stand for you getting hurt. He even protected lands with his flag. Anyone that dared to harm the lands he deemed his property, they'd face the danger of facing Whitebeard or his 13 divisions. But he's a pirate, right? Aren't they bad? The grandmother shook her head a bit. Though he was a pirate, Whitebeard never wanted to do harm to those that didn't deserve it. To the government, he was a villain. But to those who knew and held his protection, he was nothing like that in the slightest. Because of that, I want you to promise me something, Izuku. No matter the case, protect those on your side. No victory is worth sacrifice. Back to present. I swear on my pride as a warrior and as the next to inherit Whitebeard's legacy, I will never let one of my allies ever be used as a sacrifice. Because of that, Izuku gripped Fujin with her right hand to pull it out of the stone. I won't let Ryukyu sacrifice herself just for us to escape. Jack tossed Ryukyu to a wall with the cave beginning to collapse. So you've made your resolve and were even able to pull the blade out. Very well, I'll kill you and take the blade with your hands still attached. Jack stormed at Izuku with her holding a stance with Fujin held above her head. Take them if you can, hairy oversized Dumbo. In a downward slash, Fujin let loose a massive slash of wind pressure that knocked Jack through the cave and exploded the collapsing debris. No matter what happens, I will never turn my back on my friends and run away like a coward. The beast pirate flew out of sight with the light of the setting sun shining upon the three. No way. Jiru stood in awe as the act she just witnessed not only stopped the pirate Jack, but also obliterated the impending doom they were facing, leaving a gaping hole where the cave dug into the earth. Such incredible power. To think this girl could do what many couldn't. Izuku was panting for air from the pain she had before shouting to the sky. See that? You better be ready to see my name soar now, Dumbo, Battlefist Kendo. Don't ever forget that name, since that's going to be the name of the pirate going to achieve Whitebeard's mantle as the strongest living being on the planet. She's aiming for Whitebeard's mantle. Truly a high roller. I see where her and her captain relate to one another now. Ryukyu smiled as the three recovered from the attack before heading to Ua. Izuku Pav. The day after returning to Ua, things were relatively calm for us. Right now, both me and Izuku are training together in a sparring match with our weapons for it to be rather well off. The sound of our steel clashing with one another echoed behind the dorms as both Ochako and Kachin watched us. Go Izuku. As Izuku went for an upward slash, I evaded it for her to smile before sending me back with wind. It nearly ripped my arm off if I wasn't careful before I regained my footing and dashed towards her. Once she acknowledged it though, my blade was right in front of her head with Kachin calling it. That's it. Dang. And I was so close to winning too. Izuku kicked a rock in a bit of frustration for me to laugh about it. You almost had me there, I'll admit to that. Close only matters in golf and horseshoes. We both laughed at this a little before going to the bench and relaxing. So that's the sword, Masamune? Looks well made. Thanks. But because of me, there might be some problems with the beast pirates. Apparently, Jack the Drought was trying to mess with it and killed swordsmen to soak the blood of them in the blade's steel. Obviously I won, but it's certain to have repercussions from Jack. To be fair, you're not the only one that might have pissed him off royally. I kinda sent him into the stratosphere with Fujin here. I'm not sure where he was thrown, but he's not gonna be happy when he lands. 7. Welp, we're fucked with the beast pirates. Bakugo states what's on all of our minds before Fluffy comes over with a drink for all of us. Relaxing a little, the five of us began talking about our next move. So what's the plan now? 1. We still need a cook. If anything, I'd personally want to have Ragdoll on our crew as a skill gap buffer. Looking at our group as a whole, it's pretty obvious to tell where that power gap is. Dealing with the beast pirates at a later date would be dangerous if nothing's done for this. As such, all of us need to get stronger with hockey, quirks and everything else. I think Jiru knows that too. I turned my head to see Momo walking over covered in scrapes. The heck happened to you? I asked Bellamy if he could help train me in hand-to-hand combat. He might be a former pirate, but he still has the tenacity he did when he was labeled the hyena. Remembering back to her newly hired staff member at her home, I couldn't help but feel some respect for the man. Anyway, from what I've gathered, Jiru is trying to learn how to fight with music from Brook. She wasn't happy about how she was asked to show what underwear she had before this. Kaminari is trying to regularly increase his voltage with Hatsume helping. During the battle with the Marines, he felt kinda useless. Shiizaki is training with Fluffy and trying to learn tag team battling with Todoroki helping. Perona, from what I'm told, is trying to find more useful ways for her devil fruit with the help of the Kuja pirates. Also, Hancock wanted to talk to you later when you get the chance. And the big three are training with some pros in hopes to get stronger. Ochako held her head down a little before reaching for her still bandaged shoulder. We almost all died during that. It's a miracle we didn't. To be fair, half of that was cause of me, so I should apologize for that. I felt some responsibility in this act since I was responsible for this a little. Oh yeah, what about Sue? I haven't seen her this morning and was wondering where she went. Sue's training with Jinbei. From what I was told, he's teaching her what he can about hockey as well as fishman karate. She's doing great with that from what I've seen. I smiled knowing Sue's training was on the right track before getting a call from Ryukyu. I picked it up and answered her. Hello? Midoriya. I have a way for you to get in touch with Ragdoll today if you're interested. This piqued my interest a bit to turn on speaker before she continued. Today, Ragdoll is coming to Ua with the Pussycats to have a cooking battle with Black Leg. From what I was informed, both are skilled in Okama Kenpo cooking called attack cuisine and had prepared a date to see how the two's abilities would hold pitted against one another. Wait, what's attack cuisine? Itsuka asked for Ryukyu to be about to ask if I was on speaker to beat her to the punch by explaining she was. In short, attack cuisine is a type of cooking specialized in the Kamabaka Kingdom on Momoiro Island. It's an island that is well. She trailed off before Momo finished her. An island full of queers. Keep in mind, Okama actually does mean queer in English before anyone makes a comment about this blunt answer. Momo. What? They take no offense to the name and honestly they made an entire fighting style around their group. Strange as they may be, the inhabitants of this island took their unusual nature and created something even more unusual and extremely beneficial to them or others. I didn't want to ignore the fact she used the type of wording she did, but brushed it off since the residents weren't against it and let Ryukyu continue. Anyway, both the Pussycats and Emporio Ivankov are going to come to Ua. She shall be the judge and determine their style of cooking. From what I'm told, there's at least 99 different recipes that are mastered for how to help revitalize yourself through the art of food. I tried getting a better explanation from Ragdoll before, but she said it would be easier explained by Tiger as he is a descendant of the kingdom. Tiger is a descendant of the Kamabaka Kingdom. We all stopped a moment to ask if we heard this correctly for it to strangely fit his bill since he did always seem a little off. 5. Well, do with that as you will, and to be honest, you may wish to remain on good terms with Ivankov. Why? She's a high-ranking official in the Revolutionary Army. Ryukyu hung up with all of us looking at one another rather shocked. I shrugged this off before going into the dorms to shower and see this cooking battle myself. 2 hours later, third-person POV. After a talk with some of the teachers, Izuku was able to find out about where the cooking battle was going to take place and decided to see for himself. Among those present, the swordsman noticed his father as well as the Straw Hat, Hancock and some of the staff. A few minutes after this, the Pussycats came in with them doing their own form of greeting. The people present mostly saw this and was somewhat off-put. Oh wow! Such beauty in one amazing display. Sanji began acting like a lovesick idiot before Nami punched his head. Moron. Focus. You asked to do this, so take this battle seriously. Now. Don't be so mean to the kitten. He just wanted to show his appreciation. Ragdoll came over with a pink apron on and a coat that had a picture of a cat on its side. How are you today, Black Leg? I'm looking forward to making tasty cat food with you. She smiled while giving a hand to help Sanji up before he grabbed her hand as a way of hit on her. Madam. Your fiery heart is quite a beautiful thing. If I had anything to say right now, I would simply like to. He looked up to drop the cigarette in his mouth seeing a guy in drag. 2. It's nice to see you again. How have you been, Candy Boy? 1. What the hell is your face doing so close to mine? Eva. It's great to see you again. Ragdoll began acting happily for Eva to turn to her and smile. It's great to see you as well, kitty cat. He turned to smile at the rest of the pussycats to smile at him as well. It's also great to see my old friends from the pussycats. It was so hard on me not seeing you for so long. I nearly cried knowing I couldn't see my friends anymore. The Okama ruler began crying before showing his face with a smile. Just kidding. Hee-haw. Eva began laughing hysterically with nobody laughing. Eva. Hey. It's been a while. Luffy shouted for Eva's attention to go towards Luffy to smile happily. Strawboy. You're looking as lively as ever. His attention went down the line before noticing Izuku standing beside Hawkeye. Well, you're a new face. Hello there, Shrub Boy. Shrub Boy. Yes. Your head looks like a shrub. It's rather masculine. Or not. Hee-haw. Izuku didn't know if he should take this as a compliment or an insult but would personally not care how to interpret this since he wasn't there to pick fights. My name is Izuku Midoriya. I have heard quite a bit from you, Ivankov. Please. Call me Eva. Everyone does and it's not a trouble on me. In fact, you can call me Dookie and I wouldn't care. Don't do that. Don't ever call me Dookie. Don't call me Dookie. The sudden change from mad to happy was confusing Izuku to the state he was getting irritated to speak up. Can we start this cooking battle, please? I wanted to see what this attack cuisine is in action and pose a request after seeing what it entails. Sigh, fine. Allow me to go over the basics for all of you. These two competitors will have an allotted time to complete a dish. This dish will be one to revitalize the people from the battle against the Marines known as the Green Demons. It shall be graded upon the flavor, the nutrition inside it and the feeling of satisfaction afterwards. Oh, so my crew is getting a free meal out of this. If I would have known that, I would have asked them to come right away. Precisely. What, you're the captain of the Green Demons? Eva turned to Izuku with him smirking. Yep. Izuku Midoriya. Green Demon of Mustafar. A pleasure, Ivankov. Izuku bowed for the act to make him sway a bit. Oh my, this is too much. I think I might fall over and pass out. Such a young man is the Green Demon. Just kidding. Hee-haw. Hee-haw. Izuku was now starting to get annoyed before Eva took things seriously enough to start the match. Begin. Right off the bat, both Sanji and Ragdoll began thinking of some of the best ingredients to help with kicking up the natural healing process for Sanji to go directly for salmon and greens. Meanwhile, Ragdoll immediately went for chicken and eggs to make a breading batter with ground-up seeds instead of flour. As this occurred, Izuku decided to talk a little with the pussycats and Eva. So both are skilled with attack cuisine? Yes. Candy Boy Sanji there had trained on our island for 2 years in mastering it. He fought us every step of the way, but he was truly a spectacle. I introduced Ragdoll to Eva myself with our group going to my home for reuniting with my family. Tiger pointed this out for both Mandalay and Pixie Bob to look a little disturbed with a kid beside them not exactly sure what was going on. With this, Ragdoll went on hiatus from hero work for about 1.5 years before returning being a full master of attack cuisine. Thanks to her, the people we save are given a nutritious meal as well as one that feeds their soul. Wow. Sounds like both deserve a lot of credit. I've personally tasted Black Leg's cooking before, so I know for a fact it's really good. This does make this match all the more interesting knowing that. I'm now curious who's better. Izuku's crew began walking in and noticing what was happening with some scuffed up from their training as well as recovering from the incident. Take a good look at those in front of you. These are the hungry mouths you're about to feed. Eva spoke up standing next to the entire crew while smiling. Take their images to heart and make a meal that will nourish their souls and never forget the day they tasted your cooking. The two beefed up their game with Ragdoll going for berries next and Sanji going for sweet potatoes. The two had such deep intent with them that they didn't miss a drop in their tasks. While this happened, Sue began asking a serious question about Eva. So are you a crossdresser or just a dominatrix person like our teacher? Well, it's quite a unique little thing there, my little candy frog. Eva put his hands out to show needles made by his fingertips. I ate the horm fruit and now I can mess with the human body. Sex. Natural healing. Pheromones. I can mess with all of this with my powers. If you have the dream that is based on a biological factor, I can supply the hormones. Everyone immediately stared at her for a moment before Su, Ochako, Momo and Itsuka grabbed Izuku and kept him from moving. Turn Izuku into a woman. We want to see what he looks like as one. 2. I guess that can be interesting. Hee-haw, wait, don't I get a say in this? Isn't someone going to say something to what's happening? Izuku turned around to see nobody responding before noticing Eva about to jab him with his needles. Emporio female hormone. She jabbed him with Izuku's body starting to feel hot. The muscles on his body altered to that of lean, his abdomen went from solid to slender and curvaceous. The slight stubble on his face pulled back with his hair growing out longer to drop in height and come about halfway down his back. The most notable feature he gained, however, was the increase of volume to his butt and breasts becoming visible on his chest. Once all was said and done, everyone looked at Izuku a little shocked what had happened. So, anyone has clothes for her? On it? Momo answered Ochako's request to make a dress and place it on Izuku to make him now feel more awkward than he already is in a woman's body. Ahahahaha. That looks good on you, shrub. Bakugo and Kaminari started laughing at this for Izuku to be hugged by his girlfriends. You're so adorable, I can't stand it, you really fit a girl's description, ribbit. I'm strangely turned on by this. That dress is a great touch too, I'm glad I thought of going with that one. Izuku glared at Eva with spite and animosity as he was insulted and made into a personal plaything at the moment. Ivankov. Change me back into my male form now. But you look so adorable as a woman. Change me back so I can at least show my girlfriends what they should be physically attracted to. Not something where I'm afraid one's gonna drag me into a shower to mess with. Immediately, the idea came across in the girls' minds to grab Izuku's arms. Don't even attempt it or I swear you will get it when I'm a man again. Men. Women. That stuff shouldn't matter. All that should is if you'd live the dream. Also, I can't turn you back into a man for half a day, so you're stuck like that. Sorry, hee-haw. Izuku looked as if he was about to pop a vein before noticing Eva jab Hawkeye as well. Immediately, he changed from a man to a woman with now Sanji paying attention and having a nosebleed of what he saw. 2. I can't look at you the same way now. Izuku stared at his father with the ordeal clearly irritating him as well. I allowed this to happen so you understand an importance of a swordsman. It is not who you are that defines you, it's your own will and conviction to dedicate your abilities in that fashion. Take the time you need to train with your womanly body now and see what it feels like. 1. Yeah, something tells me that isn't the case and you just did it as a way to stop me from complaining. Hawkeye walked away with opening the door and several shouts coming from the halls along with thuds on the ground. He sure left in a hurry. Eva smirked at this before explaining what's happening. To make a long story short, the hormones will turn you back naturally to a man once they wear out. By tonight, you'll be the man you once were again. But I could always help you establish yourself as a woman. You know, bring the queen out from within. No thank you, I'm fine as a man and will always be one at heart. Please do not mess with my body more than you already have. Izuku Pav. All right. Present what you have to your guests. Eva spoke up for Sanji and Ragdoll to present to me and my crew their food. Sanji went first to present and explain what he had given us. For an starter, I have for you a spinach quiche that is made by eggs off of the Bulgargus Islands in the Grand Line. These eggs are rich in nutrients and enormous in size. Obtaining them is every chef's dream. The spinach is grown from the kingdom of Drombaka, a nation sourced in the South Blue that has quite a bit of land to grow. Their main export is agricultural product and has naturally rich soil to allow them to grow next to anything. For an entree we have seared elephant salmon, which is a favorite among the West Blue. The salmon is filled with nutrients and are sought after even by the Marines in hopes to get the best nutrients out of them. It's topped with a berry sauce made by fruit grown by Dressrosa's Tontata tribe. Thanks to their talents, they can make anything grow. The rice is home-grown here in Japan south of the country with the seasoning being made from a special salt that I obtained from Water 7. Lastly, we have for you sweet potato pie with the flour from a kingdom in paradise known as Drabma. Meanwhile, the sweet potatoes are grown from the Hakwa Kingdom in the New World. One of their best exports that also is desired for the sweeter and creamier than average potato. Enjoy. Sanji lit a cigarette as he stood behind Ragdoll. For me, I have for you as a first course a sweet potato hummus platter, served with broccoli and cauliflower grown from the islands of Dravaba. The island is unable to grow anything high due to the abnormal landscape, with the plants they do grow having an abnormal increase of nutrients in them. The sweet potatoes are grown in the islands of Ground Floor 10. An island in the New World that is placed below sea level and is a kingdom that lives under the land and expands it thanks to their tactics of expansion of the earth they have. Our entree is a pan-fried chicken breast with the meat coming from the East Blue. The seeds and eggs are obtained from an island known as Palm Island. A farming island that holds significant ties to the Marines and gives most of their seasonings. The entire dish practically derived from their kingdom, with fresh seeds ground up into a powder and other spices mixed in for the chicken's breading to hold more nutrition than normal. The fresh corn and steamed spinach have all been seasoned with salt from Water 7 just like Sanji's, but the butter used in the cream sauce atop the chicken as well as the garlic used to liven up the spinach coming from a side section of the island that focuses on the seasoning aspects. For dessert, we have berry tarts comprised of blueberries, raspberries, blackberries and strawberries coming from the kingdom of Elbath. Due to the abnormal size of the fruit, they have been pureed together into a nice pulp and cooked down to become practically jelly with a dash of balsamic vinegar added to reduce the sweetness that would taste bitter if not. Enjoy. Looking at everything, I didn't know where to start. It all looked so good. I knew I had to start with Sanji's and compare it to Ragdoll's since she was the one I wanted to be our cook. So I grabbed a fork and went right into the quiche first. It is extremely light and fluffy with the subtleness of the spinach adding just enough flavor to it. The food was so basic, but couldn't be any more amazing. Now wanting to go for something to compare to that, I went for the hummus platter. The creaminess of the potatoes alongside the strong crispness of the vegetables were like a dance on my mouth. Both tasted so good that I couldn't grab one over the other. Holy crap, this is good. Kachan shouted as he stuffed his face with quiche with Ochako beside me finishing off the sweet potatoes and veg. Izuku. Try the salmon, it's amazing. Momo suggested for me to go for that next. The rice was perfectly cooked with the salmon's crisp outside making a gateway to the inside which was perfectly cooked to a medium temperature. The berry sauce's acidity of what was put in it cut through the fatty fish and made it even more enjoyable. My attention went next to the chicken. The breading made it perfectly brown on the outside with a crisp taste, but the inside was still extremely moist and finished at the perfect time. The spinach had been cooked to the right amount without it being wilted completely. The corn was also nicely cooked with the butter to flavor it, being perfectly mixed in with it not feeling greasy and not having a bland taste to it. Once again, I couldn't make a decision on who made better food. It was all just too good to make a decision. Oh my gosh. This is good. Itsuka kept going into the chicken with Shiizaki unable to stop eating the salmon either. I feel like I'm gonna burst, but I don't care, this is so freaking good. It really is. Kaminari and Jiru kept stuffing their faces with my final thought to go for the dessert. Both looked phenomenal from my viewpoint. For me to go for the sweet potato pie first. The creamy taste as well as the crust couldn't be fought as it made a perfect crunch to the filling that balanced everything. I next went for the berry tarts for the taste to be sweet but not overbearing to the point it's bitter. I could easily taste the sweet flavors from the fruit naturally with no sugar added, as the balsamic ragdoll used gave a slight tang that turned the taste into a marvel. Well, who wins? Eva asked for all of us to scratch our heads on this. As to what I can say, neither one was better than the other with nobody saying anything either. You're all conflicted in this. Is the food that good that you can't make a decision? We all nodded for Eva to be rather interested in this. I guess my cat food wasn't good enough to outshine Mr. Curlibrow here. Oh well. Ragdoll started laughing with Sanji not taking this to heart. Did it at least all taste really good? I have absolutely zero complaints on anything, Black Leg. As always with your food, words insult how fantastic it is. He smirked at this with it now coming time for my question. Ragdoll. I've been meaning to ask you a question that I was hoping to have answered today after this. Tasting your food and seeing as you're already a skilled person in the pro hero business, I have a request. I stood up and held my hand out for the pro. Join my crew as our cook. If you do, we'd be honored to have someone with your talents on board. There was a silence for a moment with everyone overhearing this and having some trouble fathoming what I asked of her. Quote. Ahahahahahaha. USEARIOUS. Heck freaking no.
Like I'd ever give up the hero biz and become a pirate. Ha 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 ha. That's the funniest thing I've heard in a long time, kitten. I'm not joking though. We need a cook and I was hoping you could be that cook. Yukio said you were coming here today and I had all the desire to have you join us. Silence grew louder before the smile on Ragdoll's face was replaced with a frown. I'm sorry, kitten. I can't be part of your crew. I have my own path with my teammates to have. I can't be irresponsible and be a pirate just because you need a cook. I hope you understand why my answer's no. I felt a little down hearing this before having a pat on my shoulder. Don't worry, I'm sure there's a million cooks out there that would want to be a member of the Green Demon Pirates. Just look out for them. Ragdoll and the rest of the pussycats left after this for a deep silence to be in the room. It only stopped when I responded to the answer I got. None even close to you though. Wow, that was kinda sad to see. A really bad rejection on our end. Tagata looked a little surprised we had such a bad failure getting a cook with Perona looking just as shocked. If anything, we could try and get her to reconsider later. Sue thought of what to do with it being arguably the best thing we can decide after all of this. Izuku started to turn and walk away with Hancock grabbing his shoulder. Midoriya, there is something I'd wish to discuss with you. If you would kindly follow me, we can discuss this in a more private area without wayward ears hearing us. I followed her out of the room and towards the Kuja pirate section of the grounds to find out what the Snake Empress wanted with me. Few hours later, after being escorted to the Kuja pirates' territory by Hancock, I was led into hers and her sister's home. She sat on her snake and allowed me to sit down to get comfy with her sister Marigold pouring us some tea. This blend is a personal favorite of mine. I hope you find it to your tastes. She was somewhat more kind to me even though I was actually wait, I'm still a woman after that stupid trick Ivankov did to me. Thank you. I took a sip and was rather surprised. Tastes like a mix of green tea and Earl Grey. Strange, but still very good. Thank you. We sat for a moment before Hancock started. I'm sure you are already aware of my crew member Margarite taking a unique interest in you and your friends. Oh yeah, she helps us out a lot with training with hockey. I have to thank you for allowing her to do this. This seemed to be the opposite of what Hancock was meaning by how she was staring. Did something happen? Well, this happened around the time you had faced off against the Cypher Pole members. I had informed my crew of the situation with Margarite being a bit more forthcoming of helping you. She deems us trusted allies, what of it? It's more how she was willing to defy me as the trouble. Hancock began explaining what happened during the incident for me to understand what she meant. Flashback over a week ago, Hancock Pav. What do you mean the green demons are in danger? We need to help them. Margarite began shouting in rage with her fellow Amazon sisters holding her back. We won't. I want this clear among you all, we are not to aid the green demons in any way possible. They had brought upon the wrath of the celestial dragons, so we shall not lift a finger to aid them. But you know as well as we do that they're not going to take chances. They'll send members of the world government that specialize with taking down pirates like them. Are you telling us to let them die? She was shaking with rage as everyone else on the crew weren't exactly fond of doing this either. Personally speaking, we deemed the green demons no different than the Strafuts. Fellow allies in arms. Sister, is there truly nothing we can do to help them? From what you said, they didn't bring this upon themselves but had this thrusted upon them by the world nobles. Both my sisters tried to understand what I meant for them to see I despised the thought of this as well. I'm not accepting this. Margarite began walking away with several of us trying to stop her. Margarite, this isn't our fight, think about this. The Snake Empress ordered us to stay back. Just as she was about to jump off the deck, I gained her attention to stop her. Margarite, you take one step off this ship, and you forfeit your position as a Kuja pirate. Not only that, but you are forbidden from ever returning to Amazon Lily, holding contact with the residents of the kingdom, or even having the pride to call yourself an Amazoness of the kingdom. This is not our fight, we have no business in it and would be far better off standing down. Do I make myself clear? She held her foot on the side contemplating what she had wanted to do. I can tell in her heart, she wanted to leave. But her loyalty to her Amazon sisters was what was keeping her from doing that. Believe me when I say that this is the last thing we wish as well, but we have no other choice. We make a mistake with the world government, Amazon Lily pays the price. Would you be willing to put them on the line just to help people that are practically strangers compared to them? In a fit of rage, she slammed her fist on the side rail before turning and going below deck. Margarite. Don't touch me. Sweet Pea tried to console her friend, but she immediately refused this. I'll need some time to myself. I'm sorry. She went below deck and remained there until the ordeal was over. Back to present, Izuku Pav. So that's why you're worried about her. This also explains why you wanted to do this in privacy, since it sounds very bad if wayward ears would hear an instability in your crew. I took a sip of my tea before continuing. So what do you want to do with this? It's difficult to ask, especially because you have not as much time knowing you. But I fear I have no choice in the matter. Izuku Midoriya, please allow Margarite to join the Green Demon Pirates. Wait, seriously. You know she'll say no immediately since she's part of the Kuja Pirates. I know, and it's because I know that I want you to give her the offer before I do something radical. I do not wish to do this, but I cannot have insubordination among my crew members if something like this were to happen again. I also believe Margarite can learn more of the world with you and your friends than she ever could with us. I get it now. You want to keep her from going down a forced path, but also make sure she doesn't do something she'll regret along the way. Giving her the chance to join my crew after a talk will do that. I'm glad we're on the same page. On another topic, you look absolutely adorable as a woman. A vein began popping in my head to start shouting. This is absolutely infuriating. I can't even move around without these things jiggling everywhere. How do you fight like this? Years of practice. Each one of the sisters responded with it annoying me to no end. All right, when do you wish to address this? Tonight if possible. Take the time to find and discuss things with Margarite. Once you're done, I'll have her come to my quarters this evening. I got up and bowed before leaving the room we were in. Once I did, I flagged down Sweet Pea and Aphilandra to tell me where she was. Once they did, I made my way to hopefully get another crewmate as well as text what is most likely going to happen to everyone else. Margarite Pav. After returning to UA, I began training a little more on my own. I focused more on making sure my hockey was being used to its limit each day so that I could be stronger. Just focus. I saw something move in the distance to try my skills with observation hockey. A squirrel that has two nuts in its mouth. One's hanging out halfway. I aimed my bow towards the eggcorn that wasn't fully in its mouth. Once I had a clear shot, I released my arrow with it coated in enough hockey to turn it darker in color. I was able to hit the eggcorn and create a massive crater from the raw power I was using. Nice. Perfect shot. You're telling me. I turned to see Midoriya, or at least a girl that looked like him, and felt a little embarrassed being watched. What are you doing here? I came because I wanted to see you. I had a question I wanted to ask and I wanted to make sure you were okay since Hancock told me about what happened at the meeting. Oh, you heard. I felt a little uneasy before I was patted on the shoulder. I appreciate the fact you wanted to be mad for my crew and me. I find it flattering. It's nothing special. You're all just friends of the Kuja Pirates. So it's only right that we help you. I turned away, still seeing some bandages on Midoriya, before realizing something. So why are you a woman? Fucking Ivankov is why. That asshole's lucky I don't show him why my blades are deemed dangerous. I couldn't help but laugh at this when I saw Midoriya's anger-filled face. So what did you want to ask me? Midoriya began thinking of the words to say before responding. Well, I've been taking note of how much you pay attention to us and help where you could. I was just thinking, would you be willing to join my pirate crew? I stopped for a second thinking of what was said. You're joking, right? Quote, no, I'm serious. I began feeling a little irritated that he was offering me this position. I'm not joining with you. Keep in mind, I'm part of the Kuja Pirates. I cannot and will not join the Green Demons so long as that is the case. I understand you want to have me on your crew and I respect and admire that. But I can't. I'm not able to because of my allegiance with another crew. I started to walk away with Midoriya giving one last question. Are you with the Kuja Pirates because you want to be or you feel obligated to? A pirate lives free and can do whatever they want as long as they have their captain's blessing. You wanted to help us during the attack from CP0, but was denied your free will to do that. Is that truly you being there because you want to be, or is that you being there because you have to be? I didn't know how to respond to this. Take the time to think of the answer. When you feel as if your answer is no longer forced, give me it and we'll go from there. I walked away thinking of what Midoriya said. It was true, the green demons have been admirable, and if under the right circumstances, I probably would take the offer. However, I can't let my sisters down like that. It's an insult to them if done, and I would rather die than give them that shame knowing I left them for another pirate crew. I need to get this out of my head. I started going for a jog thinking of several things. My life up till becoming an Amazon of my kingdom, meeting Luffy and helping him during his arrival at Amazon Lily, the 2 years I trained to become a full-fledged member of the Kuja Pirates, arriving past Loftail Island, even becoming a training partner for the students of UA. Everything felt a little difficult to swallow. For the longest time, I never had to question what I was doing because I fully believed I was on the right path. But once I met Luffy, I wanted to see the world for myself. I knew it wasn't right, so I kept those feelings of longing down. But why are those feelings coming back to the surface now? A pirate lives free and can do whatever they want as long as they have their captain's blessing. Midoriya's words echoed in my head, making what I wanted to do even harder to determine. Eventually, I came to a question that I was afraid of asking myself. Do I want to leave the Kuja Pirates and live another way? I shook my head as I came to a fountain on the school grounds. Don't think like that. They're your sisters. You can't turn on your own family. I wanted things to be simple again. I wanted to know I wasn't going down the wrong path. But, somebody just tell me if this is the right thing to do. What is? I turned to see Sue next to me to panic. DWAH. I jumped back before calming down, seeing she didn't intend to startle me. Suyu. Sorry, I didn't expect someone to be listening. Don't worry, Yen, for your thoughts. I sat down near the fountain and explained to her what I was going through. Once I was done, she seemed to think about what I was debating rather seriously. It's not that I don't want to join your crew, but I don't want to betray my kingdom and friends. My Amazon sisters have been no different than family, and I feel wrong wanting to leave, but something is telling me I should take this opportunity. You probably think what I'm debating is dumb and I shouldn't bother getting bent out of shape over it. Actually, I understand it probably more than you think. You see, I actually have 2 younger siblings. Young enough where they can't take care of themselves. Growing up, my parents had to work abroad regularly and I was stuck taking care of them. I figured I'd focus more on my studies and raising them instead of making friends, since I couldn't do half the things they could do normally. There was even a brief time when I was opting out of following my dream to be a hero. What changed? Sue smiled before explaining. Regrets are something you keep on you for life. My mother told me that. As a way to make sure I didn't have that regret of not having the chance to be who I want to be, she quit her job and willingly stayed home to allow me to follow my dream. Money was going to be tight, but she'd rather that than forcing me to make a decision between my family and my dreams. I felt horrible making her do this, but that's what drives me more to fight to achieve my final goal. So you chose something because you knew you'd regret it if you didn't. Oh, I regret doing this for my mother, so it's not completely guilt-free, but I wouldn't change what I've done for the world. It's because of this decision that I met a lot of nice friends in Izuku. I guess I'm happy I had to live with that regret to the point it doesn't feel as bad knowing what I have now. I saw a smile on Sue's face to feel moderately happy about this. Thanks, Suyu. I think I know what I gotta do. I stood up and began walking back towards the Kuja territory. Tell Sweet Pea I said hi and that Aphilandra can see my brother and sister next week when they visit. I will. I'm sorry, Snake Empress, but I may have to leave your crew. All I ask of you is that you give me your blessing and forgive my selfishness. Later that evening, walking towards my captain's quarters, I had bumped into Sonia and Mari. Margarite, just the woman we were looking for. Our sister is looking for you. She is. I questioned Mary's comment for them to lead me towards her tent. There, the Empress sat looking away from the curtain. Sister, we have brought her. Good. Please leave us. Both Mari and Sonia bowed before leaving us alone. The silence between us was unnerving, with my desire to tell my queen what I wished to becoming all the more difficult. Margarite, do you know why I have asked for you to see me? I tried to think of a reason for the act one had done on the ship over a week ago to come to mind. If this has anything to do with my act of insubordination on the ship, please understand that I had no malicious intent for the Amazons or our kingdom, Your Majesty. It will never happen again. Damn it, I can't tell her this now when she's still mad about what had happened. I need to hold in what I want to say. Good, I was thinking though, we should return to Amazon Lily soon. Return, as in leave Japan. Yes, this world is not ours and we do not have reason to be here. The only thing keeping us is the warlord status, which can be brought over to our home once again. With that being the case, it will solidify everyone's hearts to make sure they know why our way is the best way. This will also help you. Starting when we return, you shall handle things in regards to our outings on the lands of our people. Never touching the sea ever again. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was going to never leave Amazon Lily again. All I could think at that moment were Midoriya's words of a pirate and how they live. I clenched my fists in anger, trying not to speak out against her. Is something the matter? We are going home. You should be thrilled. I can't. The Snake Empress looked at me for a moment with a cold stare. You can't. Why? I started to cry saying this, knowing what I was saying. I want to join another crew. I'm sorry, my lady. After everything that you've done for me and our people, this is by far the most shameful thing I could do to you. Please understand though, I don't want to do this because I feel as if you're being improper as a ruler or a captain. I love Amazon Lily, I love our people, and most importantly, I love being a Kuja pirate. This is what makes this request even harder, knowing I'm risking it all, but please. I looked up at Mistress Hancock with tears in my eyes. Please let me stay and be part of the Green Demons. That's all I'm asking. I don't care if when I return to Amazon Lily again that I was immediately kicked by the Snake Empress to see her enraged at me. After all I've done for you. After all our people have done for you. We raised you. We trained you. We gave you purpose. And after all that, you betray us like this. I was in fear. Our mistress never lost her temper like this. Starting now, you are no longer a member of my crew. Get out this instant and never return ever again. Do you understand me? ? I began crawling away with the Snake Empress charging at me with another kick. Get out of my tent this instant. I was kicked out with her foot hitting my jaw and knocked to the ground. I looked around to see everyone staring at me with anger. I couldn't help but feel ashamed of myself. The only thing I could do is run. Run and leave my sisters behind. I felt sickened by this and could only cry, knowing the shame I had leaving them. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I broke down crying while running out of the Kuja territory before running into Sweet Pea and Aphilandra. Margarite, I heard you were leaving from the Snake Empress. She said it was going to be a quick leave, that you wouldn't have time to pack your things, so she asked us to do it for you. Sweet Pea passed me my things with their comments not making any sense. What are you talking about? The Snake Empress. She asked us not to say anything, but she left a note for you in your bag and we were the ones that had to give it to you. I didn't understand anything for my friends to leave saying their goodbyes. Once they left and I was on the barrier between our territory and Ua, I pulled out the note and read it. Margarite, by now you are probably thinking that me and your Amazon sisters have abandoned you. But in fact, that is not the case. We all knew you wanted to leave, but couldn't because of your commitment to us. As such, I had asked everyone when you admitted your heart to me to pretend as if you were no longer one of us. Though we may have shown aggression to you, none of us wanted to have you leave. It hurt us knowing you wanted, but everyone understood it was right for you. I did however ask Sweet Pea and Aphilandra to avoid doing this and sent them to pack your things. I didn't think it was right to make the pretend to hate you, as you three grew up together and were no different than actual sisters. Now that you are free though of the Kuja pirates and Amazon Lily, live your life. Live it as you see fit. This is my final order for you as your captain. Live long and happy. Your former captain Boa Hancock. I started to cry again seeing that everyone was doing this for me. I felt happy knowing this and thinking I didn't deserve people like them looking out for me. *Sniffle Snake Empress. I promise I'll do what you want of me. I'll live my life like I want to. Free and happy. I couldn't stop crying as I continued to walk towards the dorms of the first years. There's still one thing I have to do. At the 1A dorms, third person POV. Izuku had been sitting calmly in a chair, happy to be male again and drinking tea while thinking about what he should do to get stronger and become better at hockey. As he did, the door to the dormitory opened and showed Margarite walking in. Do you have that answer I asked you about earlier today?
Yes. Margarite wiped any residual tears from her eyes and stared at Izuku with a determined look. If you will have me, I would be honored to be part of your crew. Smiling at this, Izuku got up and grabbed 2 sake cups and a bottle. He poured some of the alcohol into the cups before passing one to the Amazon woman. To our adventures going forward. May they be lifelong and happy. Let's just hope we live long enough to remember them in our golden years. Both laughed at this before clinking the cups together and taking a sip of the drink. Meanwhile, the crew was watching from the side, smiling, knowing they now have a new crew member. Third person POV. In a basement in an unused area of Mustafar, Jack sits reading the newspaper, clearly in rage. Green Demon protects a Buddhist shrine that had been forced to take swordsmen and sacrifice them in order to create a weapon for Jack the Drought. With the assistance of the Green Demon of Mustafar and Battle Fist, Jack the Drought was defeated and was sent flying with his whereabouts unknown. He is presumed dead with no evidence to prove otherwise. Covered in bandages from his battle with Itsuka, the giant man became enraged with his subordinates, looking as if they were afraid he was going to kill them in his fit of rage. Hey you. Do I look dead to you? No boss. In fact, you look fit as a fiddle. I do. Do I? The beast pirate began sweating uncontrollably as his upper rank grabbed him and pulled the man close. Then tell me, why are the papers printing this crap? I don't know, boss. I really don't know. Hey Captain Jack. I got something you might like to see. Another member of the Beast Pirates came in with a couple of papers to give Jack. It seems that there's a dojo that the Green Demon and Battle Fist go to. If we rough up the dojo, they're sure to come and help their friends. And when they get there, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What'd you say? Jack stared at the dojo, somewhat intrigued, before glaring at his underlings. Take the dojo by force. Make it known to the media and do it in the name of Jack the Drought. The gigantic man stood up, breaking through the ceiling with light shining in to show the red veins in his eyes. These assholes in this world wish to print garbage like this. I'll show them what's real news and what's garbage. Izuku POV. After having Margarite join the crew, we began regularly patrolling the seas with the approval of Nezu. Our main objective, due to the fact several big names were coming out of the Grand Line, was to capture as many as possible. Fire. As we did. One ship owned by a pirate group known as the Mad Hatter Pirates began attacking with us, shooting a hole into their boat. Bullseye. They're firing again. I got it. Margarite began aiming with her bow, with her releasing it the second they fired to explode the cannonballs and the cannons on the other ship along with it. Remind me never to get you mad with that bow. Tagada laughed at this, with Perona and Imajiki loading the cannons. 1. Ready to fire. I shouted for the 2 to give a thumbs up. Sink the bastards. We shot again for the ship's hull to be breached again, forcing more water in for the pirates to abandon ship. Once the ship fell, our crew began shouting for joy. 3 cheers for the maiden and her glory. Hip hip. Hooray. We were beyond happy with Momo moving us to pick up the pirates and return to port. Fortunately for us, none of them could fight back with hockey to make it much easier to restrain them. We brought the group back and began calling the Marines to pick them up. Once they were given to the Commodore we met on land, we were given the pay, with all of us going on the deck to evenly give it out. Okay. So this set of cash will go to restocking the supplies we lost due to the battle. This will go to the repairs Hatsume said we'd need from the scuffle. That leaves us with 200 million yen to split evenly. Since this was a success on our end, let's have it split 11 million each and use whatever's left to have a nice meal and some good drinks. Anyone against that? That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna drink myself stupid. Aren't you already stupid though, Kaminari? We all laughed at Jiru's comment before I was given a tug on my arm by Itsuka. Yeah? We're actually close to the dojo. You mind if we stop there to say hi? I didn't see a problem with it to stand up and pass out what we had for shares and give Kachin the cash for the meal. Why don't you all go party ahead of us? Me and Itsuka want to go say hi to our old dojo. Any chance I can come too? I want to see our old teacher and say hello. Ochako asked with Fluffy hopping on her shoulder. Fair enough. The four of us began hopping off the ship and making our way towards our old dojo somewhat happy. As we walked down the streets, we were noticed by some of the people and talked about. Hey, isn't that the green demon? No way, that dude is awesome. Mommy. Can I be a swordsman like the green demon when I grow up? It felt weird but also nice having the respect and credit we were given. This kinda reminds me of old times. Ochako spoke up with fond memories of when it was only me, Itsuka and Ochako. We would regularly walk to the dojo together when we were younger and make the time go faster by talking to one another. Hard to believe it's been so long since we were kids practicing martial arts together. Time flies, right? Insanely fast. The girls started laughing at this with us passing a couple of TVs hooked up to a scene of a fire. What's going on over here? We stopped seeing the breaking news as the news anchor began talking. We're coming to you live from the dojo of the infamous Green Demon of Mustafar. In only a few minutes, the dojo was attacked by the beast pirates and get back. Oh. The news anchor was attacked by some of the pirates with the camera being moved to Jack on the screen. This is a message to all of you that thought I was dead. I'm still alive. Not only that, but I'm here to call out the Green Demon. You and that bitch of a crewmate of yours don't show up within the next 10 minutes. This old fart is going to die a bloody and slow death. In Jack's hand, he held our master who was unconscious with a blow to the head making him bleed. I'm waiting. The feed ended with nothing but anger being inside me. The people in the dojo were being targeted and our master is hurt because of something me and Itsuka did to anger Jack. I began running right towards the dojo with Itsuka and Ochako following suit. Ochako. If you want to leave this to us, you're more than willing to. This declaration was only to me and Itsuka, you don't have to. Yeah, I do need to get involved. This was an attack on the dojo we trained at growing up. This is just as much my responsibility as it is yours. Fair enough. Contact Ua and the crew before this though. We're gonna go on ahead so we can try and help those that need it right now. Me and Itsuka picked up our pace with Ochako calling who we needed to. Hopefully, we could limit casualties by heading there faster. Third person POV. Upon arrival, Izuku and Itsuka noticed the entire dojo in ruins with the front side completely taken down. Alright Jack, we're here. Now come out and face us. The sound of massive footsteps were heard with the monstrous giant of a man glaring down at the two. So you aren't cowards and came after all. Where's the master of the dojo and everyone that was inside it? Jack turned to show everyone bound up with their teacher barely conscious. Master. Noticing Izuku and Itsuka, the injured man began trying to speak to his former students. Get out of here. Take the children and run. Shut it, old man. A member of the beast pirates stomped on the man's shoulder for him to wince in pain. You. Izuku could barely hold his anger back as not only did Jack attack his old dojo as a way to get to him, but harmed his mentor and innocent children. You bastard. In a single charge, Izuku lunged at Jack with the giant man pulling twin shuttle blades out. In retaliation, Izuku pulled Masamune and Chujitsune to counter this and send both back. Airstrike style. Izuku crossed his arms while focusing OFA and several amounts of pressure from his haki into his blades. X of the Avenger. The attack hit Jack head on to send him sliding into a massive wall. Everyone watching was in shock as Jack was pushed back. Once the smoke cleared, Jack laid in the wall motionless before opening his eyes and showing absolute rage. He went charging at Izuku now with both blades clashing with one another. As this occurred, Itsuka began pulling out Fujin and slamming the bottom of the hilt into the ground. Alright. Listen up. You're all going to free the people you trapped here and if you don't, there's hell to pay. The beast pirates began laughing at this with several surrounding her. You think you're gonna beat us, honey? You don't stand a chance. Men, surround and take this bitch out. Several beast pirate members began circling with some changing their hands to resemble animal parts. This was beyond unsettling with a wolf's head coming first to bite the Naginata wielder. Itsuka dodged this and knocked the person out before a second and third came to force her to duck down and use one as a shield before kicking the other one a distance. Attack all at once. Each beast pirate still ready to fight came at the big fist quirk user for her to parry, dodge, block and counter them all. Her blade swung fast with the wind around Izuku starting to pick up. Soon enough, more beast pirates began showing up to replace those injured for Izuku to hold her blade back and pointed directly at them. You all wanna harm my friends at this dojo, then take this. Crescent Moon Knight and Gale. The attack sent a massive wind pressure at the pirates to send them flying. Unfortunately, ones who had devil fruit powers to Itsuka's knowledge slammed Porcupine Needle S on the ground and stopped them from going that far. So this guy has some kind of devil fruit ability. No, this isn't a natural thing. Looking at her opponents, Itsuka realized that the pirates were able to do something completely different than most power holders. It looks almost like something out of a horror movie right now, the way they have odd pieces of animals attached them. One of the pirates began charging again with a creepy smile being seen on his face. Your luck's gonna run out, girly, get ready. Bullshit. Itsuka headbutted the beast pirate with hockey being shown on her forehead to force the man unconscious. Now who else wants some? Back with Izuku, him and Jack continued their battle with neither giving an inch. Izuku continually attacked with the giant man hardly able to parry all of them. Getting closer towards him, Izuku created an opening to go right for the man's chest. Strike of heaven and earth's ascention. He landed a clean cut on the man, but nothing happened. The skin where it touched hardly had a dent in it. Using the sudden confusion, Jack used his blade to attack Izuku. He only had enough time to block and not dodge to be sent into a wall with enough force to level the larger building. What a waste of talent. Jack started walking over with Izuku stumbling out of the rubble. To think two little brats like you caused me so much trouble, it's almost a shame that you're gonna die. Jack swung down with his blade for Izuku to focus his hockey to block it. In brute strength, Izuku was far outmatched compared to the pirate as he kept pushing downwards hoping to hack into Izuku. Just give up and all of this can end quickly. Struggling is impossible. Keep in mind who you're dealing with and accept death. Got it. You think I'm gonna lose to the likes of you? I'm gonna be the world's greatest swordsman. I have no right to lose to you. Pivoting his blades, Izuku slid Jack's weapons to the side and opened up a path to attack him from it. Both had used hockey, to which the blow the green-haired boy made to the head was completely blocked and futile. As a retaliation, Jack came at Izuku with his shuttle blade to make a small area for evasion, which Izuku used and attacked with both his blades crossing his body. Cross-path slash. Once again, the force pushed Jack back with the power still not enough to make him kneel. Bastard. He's tanking everything I'm giving him. Is he made of hockey or something? I told you before, you're only delaying the inevitable. I'm going to kill both you and that bitch over there. Jack stood tall looking down at Izuku, who seemed to understand he's overpowered at this point. You get it now? You may think you're tough in this world, but you're nothing but a wannabe pirate who'd die in paradise before even touching the waters of the new world. And that's how you'll die here. Like a dog. Jack stormed at Izuku with arrows and ghosts coming out of nowhere to push him back. So this is what one of the three most powerful members of Kaido's crew looks like. Above, Izuku noticed his crewmates standing on the roof of the damaged dojo staring down. Hey! Is this a private fight, or can anyone join? Bakugo smirked down at them with Jack now enraged. You can't fight me yourself, so you bring your pathetic crew with you? I should have known you'd stoop to that low of a level. Not proud with what they did, Izuku calmed himself down from his shock to glance up at his friends. Whatever you do, leave the big guy to me. Our fight isn't over yet. Are you insane? He'll kill you, Jiru shouted for Izuku to laugh at this before getting back in a stance. As I always say, if I die, then that means I wasn't strong enough. Glaring at his opponent, Jack didn't know if he should pity or be irritated by Izuku's comment. So you really do have a death wish, fine by me. Both stormed at one another, initiating another attack by one another to send shockwaves across the area. Third-person POV. News choppers and drones began swarming the area where Izuku and Jack were fighting. Everyone across Japan was watching as a complete warzone was going on in Mustafar. Slash after slash, Izuku tried to take the beast pirate down with him not backing down in the least. A quick slash from Jack forced Izuku to jump up and run over his arm. Die, you insect! A slash from the back was evaded by Izuku to get right at the pirate's face. 1. Strike of the Vengeful Tiger. Izuku let loose a strong attack on Jack's face to slide him back. Unfortunately, this did little as Jack soon recovered and came charging at the green demon once more. The two connected blades with the sheer strength of Jack alone, forcing Izuku to lose ground. What are you, boy? Are you a pirate? A hero? A swordsman? I'll tell you what you really are. Jack gave a knee to Izuku's stomach to send him back into a building. You're nothing. Just the lingering crap from the worst generation. You can't even fathom the level of power you're facing right now. So die and don't anger the beast pirates ever again. Jack came for Izuku's neck with his blades to have him dodge and see the building that he was blown into fall to the ground. Cheap shotting asshole. You honestly want to attack me like that, knee jab? Do you have any respect or honor whatsoever? Respect? Honor? Those things are useless on a battlefield. They only limit you and make you weak. The ability to go all out is truly what matters. Now die. Jack gave another barrage of slashes for Izuku to dodge them using observation haki. Is evasion all you can do now? What happened to that bravado you had? Izuku was able to get under Jack to slide between his legs and take an attack to the back of his knees. If you refuse to show me the honor of a fair fight, then don't be angry if I choose to fight a little dirty as well. I need to finish this and lighten the blow to the people around here. It's too dangerous to drag out a fight with this guy. Izuku was about to strike, but Jack gave an attack to counter and sent Izuku into another building. As the dust cleared, Izuku was holding a defensive position with his swords to show he was able to block the blunt of the attack, but his arm was notably cut to surprise Jack. You're more durable than I thought. If you're in one piece, then you must have been able to block my attack. Not a lot have that to be proud of. He's right. I couldn't block the whole thing, but if I didn't switch to defense at the last minute, I'd be cut clean through. Izuku let out a sigh to calm his nerves. His tenseness though wasn't from nervousness or fear. It was excitement. Very rarely does Izuku get the privilege to fight opponents in a battle that puts his life in jeopardy. Now, he's facing the exact scenario he's regularly dreamed. Alright Jack, I think it's time we take off the training wheels and start fighting seriously. Izuku smiled as he placed Chujitsune in his mouth while also placing Muramasa in his hands. Free sword style. Twin demon technique. With the crew as Izuku handled Jack, Itsuka and the rest of the crew pushed back the beast pirates and tried to take the students and dojo's master to safety. Your captain's an idiot. Thinking he'll take on Master Jack and live? He's gonna die like the rest of YOU. The man's hand turned into a wolf's head to try and bite Perona to have her create a giant hollow and blow him back. If your boss is so strong, he wouldn't be pushed back so easily by our captain Horo. What type of fucking creepy laugh is that? Bakugo shouted with Perona immediately taking offense to it. It's my laugh. If you think mine's creepy, then have you looked in a mirror when you start laughing maniacally recently? One Itsuka kicked a beast pirate a distance before turning to the two. Now isn't the time to be fooling around like this. We have a serious problem on our hands. Izuku's about to use an attack that's going to be detrimental to us all. Everyone was confused with Ochako knocking another beast pirate down. What do you mean? To make a long story short, Izuku found a way to make a skill that's so dangerous that it's only going to be used when he has no other option. Sending a few beast pirates away with wind, Itsuka pointed at the newly positioned blades. In one hand, he holds a blade whose fire ignites to burn the body. In the other, a blade whose fire can cleanse the soul. The power of both used at the same time will cause anyone to go mad. If we don't get out of his slashing range, we're all going to die. I've got you now, bitch. Itsuka used the bottom of Fujin to hit the pirate attacking in his family jewels. I'll explain as we get out of here, Margarite. Cover. The Amazon woman agreed to begin aiming at the beast pirates to take down any that came close. Master, can you stand? I can. Let's go everyone. Leave this to the adults. The children ran away in hopes to avoid getting involved with Bakugo making a hole through the beast pirates. Ghost Girl. Make these guys depressed. I have a name, Perona shouted in anger before she made several hollows. Negative hollows. The ghost entities went through several of the beast pirates for them to fall to their knees. There. That should do it. The hollow fruit user was pushed back by Ryukyu, who used her leg infused with haki to block another attack by a man with a crab's hand. Thanks. Focus on the fight. These beast pirates ate Smile. Hado blasted a bunch of pirates away who were being replaced in drones before asking about it. What is that? Some kind of power-up drug or something? To make a long story short, it's a man-made zone devil fruit. It can allow the user to make any part of their body that of an animal's. Ryukyu knocked the crab claw Smile user's hand up before giving a swift kick to the face and knocking him back. To make a long story short, it's a power that should have never existed in the first place and is an abomination of nature. So how do we tell if they ate this Smile or whatever it is? Imajiki asked while having a Smile user bite off his octopus tentacles with a wolf's head before Mirio knocked him out. The Smile users have horns on their heads. Very strange ones that make them look like devils. Path's clear. Get everyone out of here and fall back, now, Momo shouted with some fear in her voice for everyone to run out the opening to the city. Once safe enough away from the real fight, Izuku looked at Momo who was notably shaking. Momo, take the kids and master somewhere safe. This isn't a safe spot to stay. Understood. The dark-haired girl led the kids of the dojo as far away as possible with the rest of the group staying where they were. So you want to tell us what the fuck Deku's doing? Bakugo asked for the orange-haired woman to point to a rooftop. It's better if you see it to believe it, with Izuku. Izuku began panting with a smile on his face to confuse the beast pirates and Jack. That's a stupid look you have. What the hell are you trying to pull here? Izuku didn't answer with his breathing growing heavier and heavier. Hey, I asked you a question? Izuku calmed his breathing before slowly looking up to Jack. In that moment, an unsettling chill went down everyone's spine as Izuku's image in their eyes altered for a moment to show a black figure with a sinister smile before returning to his own image. I hope you had your fun, Jack. Because you're about to become one of your own disaster sites. Am I scared? I'm scared of this brat. You think I give a crap what you just did? You're still nothing to the might of the beast pirates. Men. Show him what I mean. Several beast pirates began circling around Izuku with desire to kill him shown in their eyes for Izuku to simply smile and laugh. What's so funny, kid? Izuku's body began swerving from side to side as he hummed to himself. I'm just laughing at the fact you all believe that I'm going to die here, when you all were already cut at least a dozen times. The beast pirates noticed a large amount of blood on Izuku's blades that weren't there before, as well as a sudden immense pain in their own bodies to have them all drop to the ground and scream. Demon Blade Art. Zone of Death. What did you do? Nothing really, I just showed them why my name is the Green Demon. Izuku stated this as a small cut was on his face to trickle some of his own blood down. With the crew, everyone watched in shock and horror as Izuku took down over 100 pirates too fast for anyone to see. Just what the heck just happened? Midoriya didn't move, but everyone's on the ground from cuts and his blades are covered in blood. It's a final technique he knows, Kaminari. Itsuka looked pale as she explained. Demon Blade Art, as he calls it, Zone of Death. A technique that moves so fast that the human eye can't even see what's happening. I doubt someone with hockey could see what really happened completely. I saw fragments, but I thought I was seeing things. Ryukyu looked astonished as she stood in disbelief with everyone on a rooftop. That's amazing. He's so fast that nobody can keep up. Sue spoke up before seeing Izuku with a few cuts. Why are there cuts on him though? That's the flaw of Demon Blade Art. Izuku moves so fast that he can't tell what or who he's cutting. Anything within a 10-meter radius of him is slashed at and indiscriminately at that. We found this out during one of our training sessions with the Straw Hat Pirates. Basically when it happened, it took Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Frankie and Chopper in his monster form just to hold Izuku down and keep him still long enough to let go of the swords. The thing that scared both me and Momo wasn't the fact that it took so many Straw Hats to hold him down, it's the fact they might have actually not been enough if they didn't catch him in time. Everyone's eyes widened at this, with Ochako looking out to Izuku for a few moments. Why did he change what swords are held and what aren't? My best guess, because those two are more likely to help end the battle quickly. Nonetheless, Izuku right now is no different than a demon and going near him is a death wish. As the group watched, Jack began to fight back against Izuku. You think just because you have some strange new skills you're a big shot now? You're still nothing, kid. Before he could finish, a strange and painful slash was felt on Jack's left hand. Looking down, he was mortified as the hand he once had was now a severed limb. Ah. Izuku continued to walk towards Jack with his eyes glued to the beast pirate. Your days of terrorizing the world are going to end here, Jack the Drought. Screw you. You think I give a damn about what you think? You're dead meat, just like the fool's beforreu. Izuku was no longer in front of the beast pirate, but instead behind him. It's over. The injuries I inflicted on you are now too great for you to handle. Izuku placed his blades in their sheaths and waited calmly for Jack to turn around. The hell are you talk? Jack's body began to feel weak, in pain, and most of all, cold. Looking down at his body, cuts began to show that were enough to make it a marvel how the pirate was still in one piece. Gah! The face covering of Jack broke to show him spewing blood before falling to his knees. Thank you, Jack the Drought. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know my own limits with this technique. Just like Jack, Izuku's body began to show similar cuts before falling back himself from the pain and blood loss. Izuku, Midoriya. The crew saw both fighters fall for them to head down to the ground as fast as they could. Ochako, Itsuka and Sue grabbed Bakugo with the earlier making the three weightless to make traveling by his explosions easier to be the first down on the ground. Is he gonna be okay? Ochako panicked while seeing Izuku in a pool of his own blood. Stay back. Ryukyu came over with medical supplies to immediately rip the green-haired man's shirt open and begin cleaning the injuries. As she did, she noticed some healed while others were burned shut. This is peculiar. Most of the injuries are either healed or burned with the bleeding stopped. That must be why Izuku changed swords, then. Bakugo stared down at both blades to see one burn blue and the other red. Using one that burns anything with blood contact to burn his injuries shut, while the other heals and regenerates to help prevent any quick prolonged damage to some degree. Deku was pretty smart in how he handled this. Bakugo soon turned to Jack, who could barely even move from his own injuries. So what should we do about Hornguy here? I'll put in a call when we get back to the ship. For now, the best course of action we can do is stabilize him. Ryukyu finished what she could before looking at Itsuka. Can you fit Midoriya in your hands and carry him slowly towards the ship? I've got this. Itsuka's hands grew to hold Izuku in them and begin heading out of the area. Don't worry, Izuku. You did your part, so let us do ours. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.